But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With the rockets or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0.
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. I'm here with your co-host, Ash, the reptilian from Mars. And we'd like to say hello to all of you who might also have troubled minds. What's up, guys? It's Wednesday night, and as many of you know, that's the night we get together and talk about, one of the nights anyway, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific, of course. But it's one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. Those things being, of course, aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle. Of course, propaganda, and just the bizarre feeling that we live in a state of upside down. And this show's live. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and D Live. And as always, we'll be taking your calls tonight as we talk about, well, we'll get to that in a second on the topic at hand. Let's get to our friend. But tonight is the maybe juice night, so we're gonna take a healthy dose of the maybe juice and kind of suspend disbelief and kind of parse some stories from the past that may or may not be true. Of course, we're not here with any sort of agenda in that regard, other than hopefully to make you think for yourself and to kind of look at some of the claims that people have made the world over. But we'll get to that shortly, and that's what this show's about. That's what we're here to talk about. Let's get to our friend from Mars, Earth to Mars. Ash, do you copy?
Speak for yourself, Mike. I have an agenda to take over the human race.
Okay, all right. Got it. The human race, don't worry, we're doing a good job taking ourselves over. It's self-owned. You ever heard that term? Do they have that on Mars? When you own yourself? Yeah, well, the humans are doing it to ourselves, so I think you could probably just wait a few thousand years and just come pick up the pieces at this rate.
I mean, I've never seen people build a cage so well and so quickly. It's kind of amazing.
It is kind of amazing.
It is kind of amazing.
Welcome to the show, my friend. We're tonight's tonight's another one of those nights, isn't it? Where we kind of we go into the I don't know, what would you call it? You want to introduce what's going on tonight?
Yeah, this is where we go. We take our time. We go out in left field, right field, out into the parking lot, drive home for 15 minutes. Stand out in the middle of just another parking lot and hope the ball comes to us. I don't know. It's just you know what? It's the media, people, mainstream, they don't cover this stuff, and this is for all the homies who look up at night and look at the stars and see all that, and they know the math, and they go, huh, there's got to be something more, So we take a look, and we do our best to discern, but it's up at the end of the day. It's up to you guys to kind of come to your own conclusion. But yeah, we're gonna go out in the left field. We're gonna talk a little bit about Jim Sparks, if you guys know who that is. He's an abductee, and he's had a pretty incredible story. Whether it's true or not, again, that's up to you. So that's what we'll be talking about tonight.
Right on. So as always, we are taking your calls tonight. So love to hear your thoughts on this stuff. And again, right, as you know, this show is really our show. This is not my show. This is not Ash's show. This is us coming together and kind of having a conversation. That's really what this has always been about. So if you guys have a take on this, if you guys have heard of this individual, Jim Sparks, he was on Coast to Coast a long time ago, quite a bit actually. And he's got some pretty famous or infamous interviews with Art Bell that are difficult to find, of course, because they're all paywalled now, because that's what they do. But he's kind of been around the UFO community for quite some time. So just if you guys have heard of this guy, cool. If not, we're going to introduce you to some of the things he said and some of the claims he's made. But if at any point tonight you want to be part of the show, if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or D Live, or you're listening on the Fringe FM, we're taking phone calls from everywhere around the world. 702-957-1037 is the phone number. That's 702-957-1037. You can join the show using Discord as well. That's a chat client. It's a voice client. We use it to do a talk show. The youngsters are using it to play video games and hang out with one another. Discord's an amazing program, in my opinion. And if you want the Discord link and the phone number, they're both on the official website, troubledminds.org. So go check that out, and you don't have to remember the phone number or any of the rest of that. Just remember troubledminds.org, and that will take you right to where you need to be. You get the phone number and the Discord link. Okay, let's get going. Who is this Jim Sparks fellow? Let's get started. Ash, what do you think?
Yeah. So Jim Sparks was actually have an about the author. He has a book out on Amazon called The Keepers, telling his experiences with extraterrestrials as he's been abducted, in his roller coaster of a ride of a story where he goes from adamant opposer to eventually cooperatively working with aliens, and then even getting to the point where he kind of gets where they're coming from and what they're trying to do. There are a few left-hand turns here that I'd like to address, so that if this story is true, there's some repercussions, right? And we're always kind of asking these specific questions. And questions like, how involved is the government? Is the government involved with these aliens? What kind of technology is it? What do the aliens look like? So we'll kind of get into those things as we go. And so Jim Sparks, this is about the author from his book, was a successful land developer in North Carolina when his abductions began in 1988 and changed his life forever. Today, Jim realizes he is not alone. Many others have gone through similar experiences, whether fortunate or unfortunate, but he differs from most abductees in that he has almost total recall of his experiences. In the 2 decades he's been dealing with ETs, he has seen and experienced amazing technologies that could eliminate our need for fossil fuel and yada, yada, yada. I don't want to get too much into it, but yeah, it's kind of who Jim Sparks is. No one really special except for his experiences with aliens. That's what we talk about on Wednesdays. So have you heard of this guy, Mike, before in the past?
No, actually, this is one of those ones that kind of slipped by me. I haven't really heard of this guy. I haven't heard his story. As usual, we kind of behind the scenes, we talk about what we're going to do. And Ash mentioned this guy. He's like, hey, have you heard this yet? Not really. So this is kind of new to me, kind of going back in time a little bit. And, like the abduction phenomenon, the alien abduction phenomenon is not new to me. We've talked about Dr. David Jacobs. We've talked about Travis Walton of Fire in the Sky fame. We've talked about Betty and Barney Hill. and all kinds of other abductions that have happened, right? Cattle mutilation, that whole bit, right? So that's definitely not a new thing to me. Like we've talked about that over the years, and probably too much in my opinion. But hey, I'm just one guy. What do I know? But this guy in particular, and there's that word again. So he's been abducted hundreds of times by his claims, and he has what he deems Total Recall. I think that's 3 shows in a row I've mentioned Total Recall, and this time it's not the movie. It's not the movie this time. It's actually, should
I ding a bell? Should I ring a bell? Ding, ding.
Yeah, but yeah. So it is interesting that he says many of the abductions that happen, like that. Let's go to Travis Walton for instance. He disappeared for 5 days in the forest in Oregon. I believe it was in Oregon, and 5 days later, he appears naked at a phone booth. He's calling in the middle of a rainstorm, trying to get home. And he doesn't remember. At first, he just does not remember what the heck happened to him. And he has witnesses of like a UFO that came and, hit him with a beam of light, and his buddies drove away in the truck. And so, he's got some actual like witnesses to corroborate that. And, he didn't remember initially. And even now, I guess he's still trying to piece together exactly what happened after all these years. That was, I think, 1975 or 1976 when that went down. So, but as in opposition here, this fellow, Jim Sparks, says he has total recall about this, meaning he remembers almost all of the interactions he's had through hundreds of abductions. Which, of course, is an amazing claim in and of itself. But if true, then that means we should probably listen to this guy because he knows something about the aliens, right? I think that's really what struck me the most about this story. I was like, what? Really? How come I've never heard of this before? But hey, you can't know all the things, so here we are talking about it. But yeah, so that's the thing that really got me. Total recall is a great term, and he says he remembers all of it. Pretty interesting stuff, eh?
Yeah, I think if you're keeping track of this kind of stuff, basically it's like, are there aliens, right? What is what more is there? You can't really answer that question, right? All you could do is kind of like do a lot of research, read stuff online, maybe even talk to people, and then you kind of map it out, and then you put like points up, and then you just kind of like guess for yourself. Even for me personally, I don't know. I don't know what's true and what isn't. But this guy's story does corroborate a lot of other things, so that's what makes it interesting. But it's one of those things where, yeah, there's literally no validation. This is literally completely hit or miss, right? It's either like all made up or it's true, and there's no way to you can't like criticize it. You can't. I mean, you can, right? But you can, but there's no way to like validate it either way. So. Again, maybe juice, like you said, but it's an interesting story, and like you mentioned, he's when he gets abducted, it's kind of almost a behind the scenes. And one of the things he does is, since he has so many experiences, he claims that he actually thinks about all the little things to try and figure them out, and he has a lot of interesting takes, and that's what I really like about it. And then he's had some open conversations with the aliens. Not initially, and it's almost like if this story's true, you can kind of make some judgments about the technology, their agenda, their temperament, their personalities, what they're kind of made from. It's a lot. It's actually really interesting. So even from like a sci-fi perspective, just like even if it was just a book, it would be kind of interesting. So yeah, how do you want to kind of start this one?
Okay,
so I can go. I have a kind of a thing, but go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's good. So I've got some actual articles here that people have written about him, some forum posts, some criticism of his stories. I got all kinds of stuff we can talk about. So if you have like how this started and some of that, and the actual specifics of what's going down with that, go ahead and let's jump into some of that. And I got some stuff here on backup to help you out with that. But go ahead and get started on what these abductions look like according to him, and let's start kind of with that backstory, and then we'll kind of go into as it develops and the things that he learned about these aliens that he's had contact with and the types of aliens and all that. So let's start there. Let's start with the abductions, and again back to 1988, I believe it was when his first abduction happened.
Yeah. So initially he wasn't aware of the abductions. They were just kind of like a typical abduction, and this could be one of the criticisms you could say is it's very similar to other people's stories, right? In some ways. So he could just be taking other people's stories, making BS just to get attention or something like that, right? That's always a possibility. But if his story is true, then there's a lot to yield from it. So again, initially he didn't realize he was being abducted. He just kind of had some weird synchronicities. Like he just was tired. He would see like wet footprints in his house. And then one night he was cleaning up, and it kind of like he just kind of realized like something's happening. And he thinks it's almost like the aliens kind of pulling back, like allowing him to like remember and realize stuff. And yeah, so he started kind of being more conscious during his experiences and actually recalling them. And yeah, he would be abducted, and there's actually a few ways they would take him through his experiences. Sometimes they would just basically, if the ship landed outside the house, they'd basically put him under and walk him out of the house, and sometimes through walls, which is a crazy commonality in these abduction scenarios, like actually phasing through a wall and then off to the ship. And then he describes the other way they would take them is kind of like Star Trek, beam him up, and every time it was like a really nasty experience to knock him out. So again, what's interesting, if you guys ever listen to his stories, he tries to kind of figure out what is going on there. And there's been times where when they kind of take him, he can almost see like into another dimension, like there's other entities kind of on behind the veil, right? Like, what do we call it? The upside down. Like he can kind of, they phase him into the upside down to take him sometimes, and he can kind of see other entities there. So a lot of little things like that are super interesting. It's like, is there this other dimension, and these aliens just kind of like live there, and they just come in and out like no problem. Yeah, and so they would take him, abductions, and one of the reasons people don't like to talk about their abduction things is because there's a somewhat of a sexual component where they take like sperm and egg for like their genetics program or something. Super common. He said every time they took him that would happen. And then the aliens would test him, would basically like paralyze him. He'd wake up at a desk, and they would like, or they would be working on him or doing some tests or something like that. So yeah, before I move too fast, he claims he tried to shake the aliens. He would curse at them. He would like tell them off. He threatened them. You know, he'd be able to use his mouth, and they would just kind of ignore him. And the aliens he saw were like the typical Greys. Like 99% of the time, it was Greys. And they could psychically control him and talk to him and communicate. And he would yell, he would say things, he would ask questions, and they would just kind of ignore him as during their abductions. So that's kind of like the basics. And then the story starts kind of like taking weird. It's like super common abduction stuff. That's like Abduction 101. That's most of the experiences. Sometimes they see other kind of aliens, like the mantis, or like a reptilian or a reptilian hybrid, and I think he's had those experiences. He's also seen some sort of alien that he think is like the actual alien. They're kind of like Greys, but like taller, and they have like more emotion. Meaning, like his hypothesis is that the Greys are like an android robotic kind of workforce made from themselves, from their. It's like if humans created like a lesser class of human that was barely alive, no conscious, and was like a slave force, right? Or like a workforce or a robot or whatever. It's kind of like that. So he's seen those beings. Yeah, and it's pretty standard. Like he gets abducted, but then there's some things that stand out, some weird stuff. But yeah, what do you think about that?
Yeah,
I don't want to go on for too long.
It's okay. Yeah. So the thing here is that strikes me about some of these things when you kind of look at a lot of these stories again. You know, let's go back to some of the more, in my opinion, the more compelling ones that have some actual, evidence. And I don't mean to say that just because somebody has a particular story, that's not evidence. Of course it is. But if you have, corroboration, to me, that makes me raise my eyebrow twice as high. You know what I'm saying? But there are some similarities here. And every time I read some of these stories where somebody is talking about alien abduction and they've had contact and things like this, right? I always try and really pay attention to the details of what they saw, what they remember, and maybe even match them to some of the OG experiences. So again, going back to Betty and Barney Hill, going back to Travis Walton of the Fire in the Sky fame. And it is a little strange that there's so many similarities, synchronicities, things that happen to these people, right? The telepathic communication, the missing time types of instances, being visited at like 3:30 in the morning, like this guy says happens, and it just makes me wonder in the end, right? It's kind of like the chicken or the egg scenario to me. It's like, are these newer individuals kind of taking from old stories and recreating these stories to fit, a story they have, or are there similarities because this stuff might be real, right? I think that's the craziest part of all this. Just like Ash has been saying here, that if this stuff is real, the implications are pretty huge. And we had that story recently where the government contractor that had retired and was in a near death experience in the hospital, had actually had an experience with an alien ghost, right? And then they were being communicated to telepathically, and there was a message, right, that humans had to learn telepathy to take the next step, to actually, the next step of evolution, so we don't destroy each other. Is that some of the lost in translation type things, the cultural bias, tons of things, right, that make humans hate each other, need not exist if we could just read each other's thoughts and realize that, in the end, this is all about, being bros and being sisters and, taking care of each other. Things like this, and it seems like there's a lot that kind of matches up with some of these sources. And it again, I don't know what to believe, because I try and take these stories as a source by source situation, try and think about them in their own, kind of in their own bubbles. And other than trying to maybe recognize some patterns of the way these things happen. So I don't know. Again, I'm going to suspend my disbelief tonight, and we're going to talk about this, but it does seem to me that there's sometimes a little bit, things are a little too tidy with synchronicities. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just going to say that off the bat. But we're just getting started tonight, and we're barely getting started with this. Let's wrap this up, Ash. We got like 1 minute, and we'll go to a quick commercial here. But just to give you a countdown, over to you for a minute, sir.
Yeah, it's a good point. So, I mean, we don't, at the end of the day, like Mike and I are just some guys on the internet. We don't have any government clearances or any connections. And, we're just kind of looking from the outside in. We don't really know. But if you really want to know the truth, you have to keep an open mind. And with a lot of these stories, a lot of the UFO community, there is kind of a narrative emerging. That there's these grays, potentially reptilians or something going on. And, based on this story, it seems like they work with our government. A lot of things you suspect. But I'm gonna go a few steps further. So tune in, keep listening. I'm gonna make some interesting connections, and you guys call in. You tell me if I'm off in left field, or maybe I'm hitting a home run. Not sure. We'll see.
Hey man, if you don't swing, you don't get any hits at all. That's for sure. That's for sure. All right. This is Troubled Minds. We're talking about the abduction scenario tonight. So we're talking about an individual by the name of Jim Sparks. And he says he's been abducted hundreds of times and has full, total recall of the experiences. Interesting stuff. Love to hear from you. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Taking your phone calls tonight. What do you think about this? What do you think about some of the similarities to older abduction scenarios? And do you think how accurate, or let's just say, what do you believe? Fake or not fake? That's really what the question is tonight. Do you believe these firsthand accounts? This is Troubled Minds. I'm Mike. This is Ash. Don't go anywhere. More aliens and abduction scenarios right after the break. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. I'm here with Ash, the reptilian from Mars. And we're talking alien abductions tonight. And an individual by the name of Jim Sparks. We're streaming on Facebook, streaming on YouTube, streaming on DLive. We're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. If you guys want to be part of the show tonight, we're taking your phone calls. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can also join the Discord. We've got a Discord rolling, and you can find the phone number and the Discord link at troubledminds.org, the official website. And that's what's up tonight. The question is this, right? Again, as you all know, if you've listened to this show for any amount of time, we're not here trying to tell you we found this stuff on the internet and it's the truth, right? To me, the truth is the slipperiest fish of them all, because you have everybody trying to twist the truth, bend the truth, and convince you of some things that are probably not the truth at all. And so we toss these things up in the air and ask you. And so that's really the question tonight regarding the abduction phenomenon. Do you believe this stuff is real? That's really kind of the main thought, right? And like I said, to me, it's kind of case by case in my head, and depending on which case we're talking about, kind of different takes, but. In the end, like we've talked about Dr. David Jacobs in the past, and he's kind of done a lot of research and has, to him, there's a lot of abduction similarities anyway, through the regression and all the rest of that. So, like I said, I don't know. It just depends on really what you believe in the end. Are aliens real? And if they're real, are they here? And if they're, there's kind of a cascade of questions that come along with all those, if you believe any of that stuff. So anyway, welcome back, Ash. How you doing, buddy? Earth to Mars. 1, 2.
Doing good, man. I forgot I was on the show. I was just listening. I was just enjoying myself.
Having a good time, eh? Yeah. Go ahead. So let's continue.
No. That's there's a few good comments. Someone mentioned this is we are like taking his word for it. So it could be real, and then also that they mess with his mind and make him think certain things, different things than what actually happened. So it could be it's a real thing, and what do you call it? False narrator. It's like the Joker movie. You don't really know what's real and what isn't because the narrator is the main character, right? So it could be the same with him. Could be half of it's true, some of it's true, none of it's true. You never know. So anyway, we keep tabs on all these different stories, all these different things, the Jacob stuff, and it's I don't know. At the end of the day, everyone's gonna make up their own mind, but it is quite interesting. There's a lot of overlap, right? So to continue this story, right? This guy, he's getting abducted, okay, and it's not a fun experience. It's kind of like he's being treated sort of like an animal, right? He gets abducted, he's paralyzed. They make him they try to test him and make him do certain things. They ignore him. They're taking semen. So, I mean, can you imagine, right? You're 3 a.m, you're taken against your free will. And, even after a few times, you kind of start getting used to it, and it still sucks, right? You're being paralyzed. And he was saying things like if he didn't, it was pain pleasure reinforcement. So if he was naughty, right? If he didn't listen, sometimes they would just leave him in a room by himself for 2 hours paralyzed, and then they would say things for instance, he would defy. He talks about in the beginning he actively defied the aliens. So if he wrote something down, they'd paralyze him for two hours and say, "Look, you're not supposed to write." And they would know everything that he's done. And since the last abduction, they could just play it back like a recording. He mentioned with that kind of ability, the aliens they think 20 times faster than a normal human, and there's an implication there that they're somewhat robotic. They have chips in their brains, or they're mostly robotic or something like that, because they think much quicker, at least the ones that he interacts with most of the time, the workforce. But back to kind of the positive and negative reinforcement. They also would basically increase the pressure in a room, and it would hurt his ears. So those are kind of different ways, like bad dog, right? So he's kind of like, it's not a really fun experience. What was the other thing I want to say? Oh yeah, so he was trying to shake the aliens. That's another thing, right? So he's trying to lose the aliens, and so he said he would like literally leave his house. He'd drive like blocks away or even states over, and he'd get a hotel on the bottom floor, and they would always find him, and they would take him, and sometimes even if they threw him a loop, he would see them like kind of like phasing in and out, around him, like checking to make sure everything's clear before they take him. So it's a lot of interesting stories. If you are interested and you kind of want to hear it, and you are taking a sip of the maybe juice, I really suggest kind of like listening to a lot of what he says. There's a lot of interesting little things there. Like at one point he bought a gun and he tried shooting them, and it just went right through them, and they're like, we know you're not a killer, like calm, like take it easy. And they almost kind of like knew him, and he would ask questions and they would just ignore him. But at some point things started to change. He started getting tested by the aliens, and the more he worked with the aliens, the more they would kind of like, I guess, the easier everything would be. They wouldn't take him the hard way anymore from his bed. It would be a little bit more pleasant. He would get the faster the abduction would go, and it would be kind of over. So the more he listened, the more good dog kind of stuff he would have. But what is interesting is, oh yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say that it seems like he's the rat in the cage, right? And as he starts kind of going along with what they're telling him, he becomes a good pet. That's actually a good parallel there. It's imagine being that rat in a cage, and you're kind of powerless, and they're doing like really terrible things to you, and you're trying to defy them. And right, just sometimes you guys ever tried to clip like a dog's nails that just hates it being done? It's like, come on, man, let's just be like, if you chill, this will go a lot easier, right? It's the same sort of situation. So he starts getting the good dog treatment. That's a funny comment.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead.
And what's interesting about that is, I was actually thinking about that before our show today. It's like, if you have a dog, is your dog your slave? Like, what if you set your dogs free right now? Do you think it would make it in the wild? You know what I'm saying? So like, is your dog your slave? Is your homie? Like, depending on how you look at things are kind of, if you don't have the whole picture, you don't really know. Does the dog think he's a slave? Probably not, right?
Not, no.
So do the aliens think they're doing something wrong or right by doing this? I don't know. I mean, I think you would have to have the entire context to really know, right? Well, so here's a little thing that he mentioned is, once he started working with the aliens more, they then eventually let him do a little Q&A sometimes. And once he started getting some progress, he kind of got addicted to like knowing like what's going on. What's that kind of like when you like sympathize with your captor? Oh, it's got a.
I don't remember.
It's like a syndrome. You know what I'm talking about though? Like yeah.
Munchausen, or what is that? I can't remember. I'll find out. Continue.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about though. Like, so there's a lot of that going on, and so things got easier. He's working with the aliens, and it took him a while to like figure this out, because he's being a royal a-hole like the whole time today. He's like literally screaming, "I'll kill all of you if I get the chance." He's like slurring and spitting and stuff because he can't move his body except for maybe his mouth, and they're just going around about their business, ignoring him. It's probably annoying. So anyway, they actually mentioned that they claimed that they came here to Earth. They like nuked a portion of Earth, like with their technology. They created just so they can create a camp, and they were like setting up the perimeter, and these creatures were peering over the perimeter, and one alien went to go like pull out a gun and shoot them. And the other one was like, hold on, wait. And like, they started smiling. You could see that the beings were smiling. And the implications was that was like human, ancestor of human. And he was shown history all the way back, like from then to now, of some of his family line. Well, not all the way back to his family line specifically, but showing human history. And they said that they had modified humans. They had made an adjustment to humans to create what we are today. and that they were following his lineage, like back to the Roman Empire, World War II, all these things. They were showing his ancestor. So it's interesting that if this implication is true, it means that aliens have always kind of been here. In fact, they created us. They may even not really know what to do with us at this point. And I suspect the Anunnaki story, I can't remember exactly, but I think that they made us and they also kind of used us as a workforce at the time. And it may be just the case that then they were like, oh crap, what do we do with these? And they've kind of used us in various ways ever since to kind of manage the planet, or maybe the Greek gods, they talk about aliens, or they talk about the gods kind of being immortal and something else, and they kind of are entertained by the lives of humans, which kind of sounds a lot like that. So I don't know. Like I said, this story could be all hooey, but there's a lot of interesting things like that. There's 5 of those things for me personally, where I hear the story, I'm like, wow, if that's true, that's pretty ground shaking that aliens made us, and that if we ever have open contact, maybe we can watch Alien Tube and go back and watch you know what I'm saying? Humans fight dinosaurs also. I don't know, some crazy stuff.
Yeah, so we got a couple folks helping us out here. We got Marge on YouTube and Mike on the Fringe chat here in the Discord. Stockholm Syndrome, they say. That's what it's called when you sympathize with a captor, with your captor. It's Stockholm Syndrome. Thank you guys for, you shoot these things on the fly sometimes, and you get tongue-tied, forget these things. So thank you for helping out. But yeah, so I mean, it does make a little bit of sense that if you're kind of the good prisoner, you get treated better, and as morbid and sick as it sounds, a relationship, an understanding develops, right? And so this individual, again, if you're just joining us, we're talking about an individual by the name of Jim Sparks. All right. And this guy said that as far back as, I believe it's 1988, was it 88? I think it was 88, that he was first abducted by aliens, actual flesh and blood extraterrestrial aliens. And he's been abducted hundreds of times since. And the strange thing about his case here that many other people don't get in these abduction scenarios is he claims he has full total recall of these situations. And so that's where this is much different than many other times where, there's the missing time. There's people that are, spend years trying to get the memories back, almost like their memory has been erased of the situation that happened with the abduction. And this guy in particular, for some reason, is able to remember these things. Like Ash was saying, when we started this story, he was defiant at first. He was trying to kind of mess with the aliens, to fight back, to whatever it is that he developed. He thinks this Stockholm Syndrome developed as a part of this, where he was kind of sympathizing with them and trying to play like the good pet, the good rat in the cage. And it made it easier on himself. So pretty interesting stuff. Again, we're taking your phone calls tonight if you want to be part of this. And what do you think about this guy's story? Like I said, he was back years and years ago. He was on Coast to Coast with Art Bell. Somebody in the chat there said he was also on Coast to Coast recently with George Norrie in the last few years, I guess. I don't know. I don't listen to Coast myself. Don't hate me. But I just don't. There's much better stuff out there, in my opinion. But
how dare you?
But Coast to Coast for a long time has been kind of blazing the trail. So, I leave it up to you whether you like them or not. It's okay. But we're not here to talk about that. So what do you think? Do you think this stuff is actually real? We have a firsthand account from this guy that says he believes he's been abducted not just once, but hundreds of times. And so he's got a ton of data points on not just what they're trying to do to us, right? Which, of course, they're doing experiments on people. Like Ash was saying there, that they've actually gone back in time in some capacities, meaning that they've been tracking bloodlines for hundreds of years. And, like this is the type of stuff that you would expect if aliens were here. That's the type of thing that they may be doing, right? I mean, some of that stuff kind of adds up. If you take a huge swig of that maybe juice, that stuff kind of adds up. But otherwise, I guess what's next? He's got this. He's starting to build a relationship with the aliens, right? And starting to learn what they're doing. And so they're doing experiments on him for what? Are they creating hybrids, or what's going on with that? Any idea?
Good question. Is that bell noise? Is that my
that's me.
signal for me to talk?
Nope.
Oh, okay. I thought I was an alien experiment for a second. I thought
That's
time to talk. That's me.
yeah. That's your shock collar. It didn't shock this time.
Yeah, careful. Don't beep too much. I'll have a seizure.
Exactly. No.
You know?
That was the phone line dropping. So I'm reconnecting the phone line. So still taking your calls if you guys want to be part of the show tonight. What do you think about this guy's story? What do you think about alien abductions? 702-957-1037 as I reconnect the phone line. That's 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link. Troubledminds.org is the official website. The phone number and the Discord link is there. All right. There we go. Should be back up. So, okay. Disregard the beep. It was not a brainwashing scenario.
And so you think. Yeah. So, okay. So, I promise this, like, it gets even more interesting, right? Like, even just like, okay, it's not true. Thought experiment. Again, we don't know, right? So he's getting abducted, and they're training him to like learn these symbols, right? And so, at some point, they gave him control over just his index finger and his mouth. And again, the more he's defiant, the more they kind of they make it suck for him, and they sucking the basically increasing the pressure in the room to hurt his ears, different things like that. And consistently, he'll hear like these beings are telepathic. That is the like no matter what the story. That if I was going to put money on, okay, if you told me aliens were real, and you put a gun to my head and you're just like, do they have telepathy or not? I'd be like, man, I'd put it all on that, because that I've never heard a story where they don't. I've never heard a single story where they don't. Have you? Do you know what I'm talking about? I've never heard an alien be like, "Yo, what's up?"
Yeah, it's always, or even actually, you know what? I take that back. So there is one where a UFO supposedly crashed in Sweden, and this was back in I think it was the early '80s. And the individuals, the aliens in question, according to this story, my memory's a little foggy. It's probably been like a year and a half since we talked about this one. But the aliens in question that they were supposedly posing as humans and trying to pass as them, according to this story. I'll dig that out. We did a whole show on this, and I'll actually link it in the notes of this.
Never heard of that one.
See. Yeah. So, but the only thing that comes to mind is they were the person that was aware of them was able to pick them out because they tried to have native local accents, and they kind of botched them. So that's one of the only ones I can really remember where somebody said aliens are trying to communicate through human language. But again, like I said, we're just a couple dudes talking about this stuff. I don't have like the MUFON catalog of all these things. So anyway, just but there you go.
Yeah.
So only one comes to mind after 3 years of doing this. So yeah. So one sec. So I've actually got the alien writing system that apparently they taught this guy. So you said that they were teaching him symbols and stuff. So I'm gonna put up a link to this as you continue describing this, so people can actually see that he's was supposedly being taught their language of sorts, right? And kind of the writing system. Just want to throw this up there so that people have this link to follow along as you kind of tell the story, so they don't think we're making stuff up. Right? There you go. But
It'd be fun. It'd be fun, guys. It'd be fun to just make some shit up here, but it makes some stuff up. Sorry. But like, no, yeah, this is again, we just kind of keep tabs on these stories, and we're just keeping score. I can't tell you what's true or what's not. So this guy, Jim Sparks, he's abducted by aliens, and he remembers a lot more, and he's got he becomes kind of like, I guess, a certain target for a certain kind of testing, experimenting. And I guess they were experimenting to see if he could learn their language. And so there's all these different symbols that he was tested on. And again, initially he was given it such a hard time and whatever. And I think he mentioned it was like 6 years of like not knowing what the crap's going on, giving the aliens a hard time, just being a general jerk to them and threatening their lives whenever he got the chance. And honestly, like, he would kill all of them if he got the chance. If they were like, all right, we're gonna let you go. And he's butt naked every time, right? Imagine a butt naked man tearing through the ship, pushing in little gray aliens' eyes in, right? Like, he would just tear him apart if he got the chance. And they telepathically know. So he basically is an animal at this point, and this is the relationship that they had up until this point. So he's learning the symbols, And they eventually show him a story of his friend. And so the friend, they probably pulled from his memory, and then they were just like pulling information about it. And he's reading the story, and he starts reading it in their shorthand symbology. And so they took like 12 pages and cut it down to like half a page. So he realized that their language, whether it's designed for human brains or whatever, is way more efficient. Like you can read a book way faster. And that what's funny about that story, specifically about his friend, is that the story goes from like the past to the present and then also to the future. And the implication was that the aliens can see into the future, and that's like not a difficult thing for them. That he's been abducted and at one point returned a little too early, and that he saw himself being abducted again. So that time wasn't really that relevant of a thing to these aliens with their technology. And that their technology, like whatever you would think it is, or whatever you heard, it's way beyond that. It's like way beyond that. It's like insane what is possible. And that they can go anywhere in the galaxy, all kinds of stuff. So anyway, he's learning this language, right? And he gets like 12 pages down to half a page. Well, then they show him like a coin or something like that, which is shorthand for the shorthand. And he was able to read those 12 pages by just looking at like the surface of a coin. And what he realized is that this kind of training made telepathy easier for him to interface with the aliens. See how interesting this story is? This is some interesting stuff. This is like, is this where we're going? Is this like where humans will advance to? That he's sending basically the equivalent of this coin surface kind of back and forth with the aliens, and they're able to transmit high volumes of information. I mean, literally like chapters and seconds of information, making their telepathy way more efficient, right? If efficiency is like the name of the game over the long run. So anyway, pretty interesting thing. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I got a parallel about an L. Ron Hubbard book that we'll talk about after we come back from the break here. Interesting stuff. We're talking about Jim Sparks. He says he's been abducted hundreds of times. He's got some insight into what the aliens want, and they're definitely here. You're listening to Troubled Minds. I'm Mike. This is Ash. If you want to be part of the show tonight, we want to hear from you. Do you think this alien abduction stuff is real? Or do you think it's some trick of the mind, or people just writing books to, pulling a fast one on us to make some money? Like I said, we're not here to tell you one way or the other, but we do want to hear from you. You want to be part of the show tonight? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. More aliens and abductions right after the break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. This is Michael Strange from Troubled Minds. Did you hear that scientists recently discovered radio waves coming from Proxima Centauri? Well, I cannot confirm nor deny. We are broadcasting from that neck of the woods. You are listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM.
I wish none of this had happened.
So do all who live to see such times, but that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. There are other forces at work in this world, Frodo, besides the will of evil. Bilbo was meant to find the ring, in which case you also were meant to have it. And that is an encouraging thought.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands, outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. I'm here with your co-host, Ash, the reptilian from Mars. And we'd like to say hello to all of you who might also have troubled minds. What's up, guys? It's a Wednesday night, one of the nights we get together, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what those things are. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and that strange feeling we live in the upside down. We're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and DLive. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. If you want to be part of the show tonight, the number to call, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can join the Discord as well. TroubledMinds.org is the official website. You can find the phone number there and the Discord link. Come be part of the show tonight. We're talking about Jim Sparks and his alien abduction experiences and the things that have happened to him. So just to kind of recap and get us back to where we were before the break there. So Jim Sparks was he had his first alien abduction experience back in 1988. And since that time, he's been abducted hundreds of times, many hundreds of times by his own words. And he has what he deems total recall about the situations. He's unlike many of the abductees in the past, Betty Barney Hill, Travis Walton of Fire in the Sky fame, things like this, where they had to kind of remember things as they went through the rest of their life, like their memory was erased. This individual, Jim Sparks, says that he remembers these things immediately after they happen. And so he has supposedly a ton of insight regarding the alien abduction phenomena and their agenda and some other things. So we kind of left off talking about that he was being taught their alphabet and kind of taught their language of sorts. Am I right, Ash? Welcome back to the show. Earth to Ash. 1, 2, test. Do you copy?
Hello, humans. I'm back.
All right.
Luckily for you, your alien overlord is here.
Nice. The uplink to Mars sounds fantastic, my friend. All right, so what I was actually kind of pointing out just before we took the break there is that there's a parallel here, interestingly, with so the aliens are teaching this individual, Jim Sparks, their alphabet, right? According to what he's saying, they're teaching him in some capacity their language and their alphabet. And he's actually got a transcription of this. So I've got it up here. I'll put it up on the screen if you guys are watching on the stream, and you can see it there. I've shared this link as always, and you guys can follow up on our sources to find out we're really not making this stuff up. This is really what these guys are saying. But an interesting parallel is if anybody's read by L. Ron Hubbard, a book called Battlefield Earth. Now, there was an alien. He was the security officer, actually, and his name is Terl, T-E-R-L. But he captures the hero of the Battlefield Earth, that's a big old book. This is a big old book. So if you guys haven't read this, I don't blame you. But if you're trying to substitute the movie for the book, no. That may have been one of the most just worst movies ever made, Battlefield Earth. But anyway, the hero of that book is called Johnny Goodboy Tyler. That's his name, right? Which is a little bit goofy, but that's his name. And he is taught the alien language through like these puzzle games. And by this security officer, Terl, T-E-R-L, in the capacity of teaching them to be able to use the alien technology to help mine gold, right? Which kind of matches up with the Anunnaki story a little bit and some other interesting stories. But anyway, I didn't know if you knew that parallel, but this is the second time I've heard it, and the first time was actually fiction from an L. Ron Hubbard novel. Figure that, right?
Wow.
Figure that.
Well, is it synchronicity, or is it or maybe he's drawing from fiction to write fiction? You know, you never know. And there's definitely some criticism of Jim Sparks out there, and You can't corroborate anything he says, right? But you can't say it's not. I actually wrote down a few negative comments. You want me to read one?
Sure.
Some hate?
Sure. All right. Sure. Let's do it.
Yeah, it was like the story was posted somewhere, and there was some comments. So let me try and be like an internet troll voice. Hold on a second.
All right.
Listening to it now, from what I can gather, he's a guy looking for fame. Midlife crisis, maybe? I don't know. He's looking for someone to blame for his failed marriage and business as well. I'm halfway through, so I'm excited to hear the rest. I do love the ads for his book. So yeah, there's a little criticism.
well, I've actually there's pages of this. So if you guys are actually looking for some criticism of this story, there's plenty, as you can imagine, right? I've got some here that I'll toss out and just drop the links, and you guys can read some of this yourself. Now, here's a poll actually. This is from the Paracast, which is actually a really fantastic paranormal radio station. I'm not sure if there's a station there. I think it's a podcast, but anyway, now they did a poll here that I have up on the screen. I'll put it full screen, and I'll link it, and you guys can check it out. But the question here is this: do you believe Jim Sparks is a real contactee? And it's 22.8% say yes, and 66.7% say no. And then another 10% say no, he fell for government trickery. So there you go. That kind of gives you an idea of what people think about the Jim Sparks story. But I mean, that's just one source, right? That's probably a small sample size and all the rest of that. But anyway, I'm going to link that, and you guys can check it out. There are some people crapping on his story, and without it is difficult. Okay, so now this is part of the problem too when you're talking about these sorts of things, is that if you don't have people that kind of were there next to you when at least something happened, like maybe you got dropped from the sky in a beam of light, you know what I mean? Like that would be something to corroborate all this. And so some of the criticism, of course, has been, okay, so this dude has been abducted hundreds of times, but he hasn't, set up any kind of surveillance in his home to like capture these abductions as they happen, right? Knowing they're going to happen again. So you know what I mean? There's some pretty legitimate criticisms of this. But anyway, that's not what.
Well, he says he said he's done that and it doesn't work or something like that. That's what I think I remember. Like he's tried a bunch of stuff. He tried like again. He tried moving. He tried making it hard for them. He tried catching them on camera. He tried a few things, and he said none of it worked because they could basically read his mind and cancel stuff out. I don't know. I'd have to look more into it. But I mean, this is a valid criticism. Like nothing worked. Like you couldn't like have a dude like sit in the house and like even if let's say they come for you and they knock the other guy out. Well, hey, I fell asleep early. That's kind of weird. Like you know what I mean? Like if I was getting abducted, I would try a variety of things, and I think I could do something, but. Again, when he would try stuff and they would take him, they would punish him for it. So maybe he didn't. After a while, he didn't want to do it. I don't know. It's valid criticism, though.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot here. So anyway, just dropping some links here if you guys want to check some of this stuff out where people are criticizing the guy's story, kind of poking holes in the things he says. And like you, as always, if you drink the maybe juice, you've got to be willing to actually be of the skeptical mind as well. That's part of the whole deal, and why we really do this in this format to include you. Did I mention we're live and we're looking to hear from you guys, and we haven't had a single call all night? So it seems a little weird. It seems like you guys are scared you might be the next abduction or something. I don't know. Anyway, if you want to be part of the show tonight, I jest, of course. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Do you believe this guy? Jim Sparks, he says he was abducted many times, hundreds of times over the years, and they taught him an alien language, an actual alien alphabet. With no corroborating evidence, no photographs, or any of the rest of this, do we believe this guy? That's really the question here. Looking to talk to you guys tonight, and troubledminds.org is the official website. Got the phone number and the Discord link. Get in here. Love to hear from you guys and what you think about this. But let's continue with the story. So we left off, and they were teaching him this alphabet. All right. So they kind of like the rat in the cage situation. He realized if he stopped being, kind of impossible to deal with and stopped trying to fight back all the time, that it was easier for him. And so they taught him this alien language. And what happens after that?
Yeah. So this kind of comes to, I guess the crescendo is after working with the aliens for a while, because he's been so cooperative and he's been such a long-term abductee, and he's able to remember, they start like letting him walk around, less paralyzed, and sometimes bringing other people in abductions where he would have to like calm the person down, then start calm the person down. And now if he still didn't listen during these, they would let him off leash, but if they didn't, they would tell him no, and they could knock him out at any point. He could lose consciousness, right? So there was that. But yeah, so he kind of like is able to participate more. They kind of trust him to be walking around, and he kind of has a relationship with him. At one point, the aliens give him a gift, and he opens it up, and it's a box, and it's full of like some disgusting tar or smell or something. And they said that it was all the tar in his lungs from smoking for a long time. So it's even like the aliens were at some point helped him. So complex relationship of a love for your alien captor. I'm not quite sure there, but yeah. So he's able to walk around, and this is where the interesting part comes in. So if his story's true, there are real repercussions for this next part, in the fact that he would see human military personnel sometimes on these abductions, especially on mass abductions, where they would abduct like 1,000 people, and they would bring this one time they brought all these people on board or into a cavern or something, and he was awake and he was like assisting in this, and there was all these people and all these computers, and so they would have people sit at these computers, and they'd have some sort of like intravenous system to feed them like fluids into their bloodstream, and it would kind of get you high and make you feel very emotional. And so while this is happening, he's at this monitor. There's all these other people there. It's a mass abduction. He would look around, and they would be like, "No, you're not supposed to look around." And they'd knock him out if he looked around too much. But he did see military personnel there assisting. Alien and government working together. What were they doing? What was this agenda that he claims? Well, they would have him look at the Earth, and they would show the Earth perishing, basically getting worse and worse. And it was repeated in his brain: "You are killing your planet. Your planet is dying. You're killing your planet. Your planet is dying." And while they're feeding this chemical into them, they would basically kind of become brainwashed in a way to feel like they need to do something to save the planet. And so if what he's saying is true, this narrative is emerging where government and alien are identifying the problem, right? The problem is you listening right now, the people, right? Like us, right? That's kind of like the agenda is to like save the planet, because we probably all live here. Like the aliens probably live here too, or that's our job as like humans. Like that was our job, is to maintain this planet to be the foothold, the extension of their empire onto this planet. And now our government is cooperating, working with them. So that's kind of like an age-old question. It's like, how much does the government know? How much do they work? And what part of the government is it? There's a million layers, right? So is this the deepest layer? So interesting. Have you read that part, Mike, did you hear about that?
Yeah, definitely. And so the thing that actually kind of made me raise the other eyebrow this time when I was reading that is because it sounds very similar in scope to, Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum, right? And it sounds very similar to, Thanos snapping his fingers and just doing away with a percentage of the population, right? Because, sustainability and all. Right, and through depopulation. And then it kind of occurred to me a little bit more thinking about this, that we got the Georgia Guidestones, we got Thanos, and we have the New World Order type situation. Interesting that we have the military, supposedly, according to this Jim Sparks guy, working with the aliens, and the message is you're destroying your planet. So is that what's going on? Are the aliens in charge of Agenda 2030? Is this really what's happening?
This is why I come on the show, Mike. I was like, strange. But this is why I come on the show. It's just like the same we've done the shows on the UN, the Agenda 2030. You could look at COVID, and you can look at the policies that are being passed, and you can see a population being wrangled. That's what I see. Like we're off in left field, but here at home base, right? right in front of our faces. We're being wrangled in. We're being trained to have stuff injected in our body, right? Soon there'll be, you can't travel, you can't do this, you can't do that unless you do this, right? So very quickly our rights and everything's going away, and the things like the environment and all these kind of things becoming a priority over the life of the human being. So that's kind of like what's going on now, and we've saw the UN. The Bilderberg meetings, what were they talking about behind the scenes? It seems like there's an agenda, right? And so if what this guy's saying is true, maybe the policy is being dictated by extraterrestrials. Maybe whether they work with us, they rule us, or our government has been secretly compromised, right? That's kind of like what Bill Cooper was saying. They were somewhat compromised, that the aliens run the show. And I don't know, man, if you reach down in your hearts of hearts, if there are aliens, right, they're here. And if they're here, we don't see them. So what's going on here? So it would make a lot of sense that they kind of are running things from the shadows. And so you see this push in the past, according to this guy, where government and alien working together to try and condition the humans to help and save the environment. And there have been not abductions, but events where you remember the aliens that came down in Brazil, and that was their telepathic message, like, take care of your planet. And so, yeah, do you know what I'm talking about? The Brazil thing with the kids in the schoolyard, and the alien comes down. And then that's the telepathic message that they got from the being.
I don't know that particular one. When I think of Brazil and UFOs, I remember the one where they were actually being attacked and hit with lasers and left like radiation scars on their skin.
Maybe it wasn't Brazil. It was
Africa.
I'm terrible.
South Africa.
Yeah. The school children, right?
Yeah.
And this was a while ago, right? So this is a while ago. So what makes me think this might be true is that a while ago they were trying to wrangle people and they gave up, and now they're trying to do it by force. Like, they're trying to do it in a nice way, but still by force, because our planet is dying. Your planet is dying. You are killing your planet, right? And so Jim says that because of this experience, he's got this passion to save the rainforest and like all these kind of things. And it's like humans are somewhat being like controlled or mind controlled to kind of like do this agenda, right? And if you look at Agenda 2030, it's about like kind of like removing the human footprint and creating a sustainable future at the expense of your quality of life or your life. I don't know. Like, that's the part they don't have. It's not written in there, but you're like, you're doing, 2 + 2 = 4. And they're like saying, no, it's 6. It's like, well, where's the rest of it? Where's the rest of it where like a lot of people have to die or something, right? Something's got to happen. And so I don't know. It fits right into that narrative, man. It fits right in. Like aliens were trying to like work with humans, and now they're getting a little bit more pushy. And and you look at the hybridization program. There's a lot of things I can go off in left field, right field, but it feels really strung up by this narrative. Aliens are kind of calling the shots, and they're the humans and the aliens and the government and all, they all have an agenda. It's like kind of like they live, right? Like they live to like have their meetings, and then once they know that like it's cool, the aliens just openly talk, and they're like, profits have been up 20% this year for all humans that are assisting the program, and they're all clapping, right?
and like reproduction is down 12%. We're doing good, guys.
and Bill Gates stands up and they clap for him, like seriously, like I get it, right? I honestly like. I almost see their side of the story too. It's like something has to be done, right? And a lot of people are kind of like too soft or immature to kind of deal with reality, right? They're worried about this and stupid things, right? And so most people aren't invested in like what's going on. They don't dig into stuff. So, I hear people whenever I go out, they're like excited to go get the vaccine. And it's like, I don't know if it's good or not. And I'm not a doctor, okay? I'm not saying that it is bad or it isn't good. But, it's like, how did they make a vaccine in like 20 minutes? First of all, it was almost as if it was ready already. And then it's like COVID isn't even that bad. So why is there such a? It just seems like an agenda, right? And so it just really does seem like an agenda, and it's like a new type of vaccine. It's new. It like changes your genetics. Careful. And it's like, wow,
we're about to trip the algorithms, bro. So okay,
I got you. No, like I said, I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I just wish there was more skepticism in the world. And it's almost like you kind of like, if you're not like concerned about things, or you're not really researching things, kind of deserve what you get at some point, right? And that's kind of like what they think. I think like if you're gonna act like sheep, that's what you get. And I don't 100% believe that, but I see that point of view from these potential like nefarious people, right? And so I mean, who's to say, like, from someone's perspective, humans are evil and we should just be removed because like the planet's beautiful, and then other people will be like, well, you're killing people, like what's wrong with you? So right, like I don't know what the answer is, but yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of the argument I make when we talk about if you hand over the reins of production to AI, and AI does the entire analysis of we're destroying the planet and the problem seems to be people, so the easiest thing to do is, well, let's just let's start with the depopulation. That'll save the world entirely, right? I mean, and that's the way like a cold, cruel machine would think. And yeah, and we're talking about aliens tonight, not really AI, but kind of these themes seem to keep arising that in some capacity, actually, what's up, Axel? I see in the chat says it's wildlife management, and that's a fantastic thing because they're managing us like we're the deer in the park, right? Or that we're the grizzly bears or the black bears or whatever it is, right? That's a fantastic way to put it. Good stuff there. But I mean, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about aliens tonight, guys. We kind of went a little bit off track there, but we're talking about a guy named Jim Sparks that says he's been abducted by aliens hundreds of times. He's got some insight into what's going on with his the alien agenda. He says there's an actual alien agenda. And oddly enough, like we just discussed, it seems to match the agenda of Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum and possibly the Great Reset. Weird.
Right.
Weird.
Weird.
We got some weird stuff. Got a minute left.
And this is an old story too. This is an old story too. That's what makes it interesting. It's like, this just makes it interesting that this is from like 1988, whatever. It falls right in line. Like they tried this or tried that. Screw it. Let's take it to another level. I don't know. Call in.
Looking to hear from you guys. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Troubledminds.org is the official website. You'll find the phone number and the Discord link there. We are talking about alien abductions and an individual by the name of Jim Sparks. He says he's been abducted hundreds of times. He knows the alien agenda, and it seems to match with the Georgia Guidestones. Love to hear your comments tonight. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Mike. This is Ash. Don't go anywhere. More aliens, more abductions, more Bilderbergs after the break. Be right back.
Is out there, and so are we. KTLK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Mike. This is Ash. We're streaming on Facebook, streaming on YouTube, streaming on DLive, broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We're talking about an individual by the name of Jim Sparks. He was abducted hundreds of times by his own account, trained in some capacity in the alien language, and he thinks he knows their agenda. That's what we're talking about. Do you believe any of this stuff is real? Looking to hear from you tonight. The number to call, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can join the Discord. Find both the phone number and the Discord at troubledminds.org. Get in here. We'd love to hear what you guys think about this. Is this real? Is this made up? Is this just more fan fiction? And we're spinning our wheels here, even thinking or talking about this stuff. Open to all the possibilities. That's what this show is all about. Let's kill this music. As good as this music is, let's kill it. Welcome back, Ash. You there, buddy?
I'm here, man. I'm here.
All right.
I'm jamming with the vibes.
That was pretty good stuff. Okay, Axel says I can call in a bit, but I'm out right now with the dog. No sweat. Marty in the chat says he wants to know, did he get probed? That's the $1 million question right now, Ash. Did this guy get probed?
The only way to find out is if I got to probe you again.
Oh, there you go. Do we have a volunteer? We have a volunteer. That's kind of part of the stigma of the UFO abduction, right? Is that people don't want to come forward if these things happen to them, or they believe they happen to them because of, comments like that. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to joke and stuff, but good thing we don't have Jim Sparks here. He might break down in tears because who knows how many times that maybe actually happened to him. Who really knows? We have a call on the line, so let's what do you want to do? Let's take the phone call. Let's go right to the phone call.
Yeah. We
got a full segment left on the Fringe, and then we got another hour after that with YouTube, D Live, and Facebook. So let's go straight to this call. I think this is Michael J from the Fringe Discord. You there, Michael J?
Yeah, Michael J. How you doing, Michael?
Good. What's happening, my man? What's on your mind tonight?
I agree with him 100%.
Okay, the individual, Jim.
Nice. We're done. There you go.
Because a few months ago I got abducted and I woke up with burns on my right arm.
Okay.
Tell us more, man.
I hear all these stories about people. What?
No, continue, please. Tell us more about the what happened to you.
Oh well, because I get tired of the cat and mouse thing. So periodically, I'll ask for proof. And so I went to bed that night. And I said, when you guys take me, do something physical so I know I've been someplace. But don't hurt me. But just do something. But don't make it like I'm going to be hurt or something. Anyways, I went to bed, woke up the next morning, and I didn't get up till like 10. Usually I get up earlier. And it's in the summertime, so I went out and having breakfast on the front porch and everything. I'm sitting there, so the back part of my right arm starts to sting. So I put my finger back there, and I'm kind of feeling around. I felt like a scab, and as soon as I touched it, it would sting even more, and it was gooey. I guess that's when the white blood cells try to, form skin. And most of the scab was there. It was mostly formed, and then the bottom of my forearm started to burn. So I went down there, and the same thing there, but I had 3 little tiny ones right in a row. Plus, there's 2 little needle marks right next to, on each end of the outside burns. There's a needle mark on top of each one.
Holy smokes. So,
and I was sitting there, and I noticed the texture of the burns were like a sandpaper feeling. It wasn't like a skin thing. It was more like sandpaper. And I put Neosporin on it to, because it was stinging. I'll put that on, it'll take it away. It made it worse. So no matter cream I put on there. And I remember I had some organic honey, so I thought, I'm going to try that. Because I'd heard about that, so I put it on there. It totally cooled it down. Totally cooled it down. Now, honey usually stays sticky on your body. It doesn't get dry. It, stays sticky for a while. About 3 hours later, I was tapping it, and it felt like plastic. It had hardened and crystallized.
Okay, so you asked them for some kind of proof, and they gave you proof. Have you actually had multiple abductions?
Yeah, they gave me proof, but.
Have you had multiple abductions throughout your life?
Go ahead. Yeah, I've had abduction dreams. They were doing something to my teeth. They were examining my digestive system. And I was in Reiki classes for a while. Some of this is out west, some of this is here. And what they do, because I used to have this really cool dog, and in the dreams, I'm chasing after my dog. And then suddenly he runs into this building, and I go in after him, and I realize suddenly it's like, wait a minute, my dog disappears. And then suddenly I'm sitting on a bench or a table, and I always have the same being in front of me. It's like this nurse, not a nurse, dressed up like a nurse, but it's not. But it's always like a fat nurse, tall, like 6-something, but it's heavy. And the last time that actually happened that I ever saw the nurse, she actually turned around and smiled at me. And was looking at me, just kind of smiled. And then they also had in the dream to where there's this girl that was like playing with my arm, like doing acupressure or something. And I didn't like her in real life. But she's in the dream with me, smiling and talking, just, pushing on the arm, like, this is okay. And then I looked up to my left, and I saw this star cluster, which had, like, a square head and a long tail to it. And then I thought, well, a snake. But I looked up and saw that. I can't find it in the sky anywhere. So I've had those things tons of times. I've had dreams where I wake up, and I can't, recall a dream, but when I wake up, I'm not orientated with being here. It took me 45 minutes one time to remember what I call car keys and exactly what do they go to, and then what was the name of that thing that they went to. So, yeah, absolutely. When I hear stuff like that, it's too hard to discard somebody saying something like that because I've had some of the same experiences.
Okay, so
absolutely.
Yeah, so there's some corroboration. And this is why we've always done it live, because like I said, you don't have to be Linda Moulton Howe to be on this show. Like, I'd rather hear from you, to be perfectly honest, because I mean it, because you have a firsthand experience and you can share it with people, and it's not going to be filtered by the media, or I'm not going to spin it and say some other thing about what you said. We heard exactly in your own words what you just said. And it does. If what you're saying is true, right, and it's your truth, it's corroborating many of the things we talk about on this show. And you're not the only one, by the way. You know this. It's why you're here tonight, right? It's totally why you're here.
And two, I have the scars to prove it.
And there you go. So actual physical evidence. Have you actually ever done any sort of regression or any of the rest of this stuff to kind of maybe open up some more of this? Or has it always been your experience that you can kind of recall these things?
Well, I was looking to Super Soldier because I've also had dreams of levitation and being in this military thing, but we were doing psychic stuff. And that's just been coming up recently. And then the levitation was levitating into a building so you could get past the sensors, but you had to levitate, like the infrared sensors like they have in museums, where they have these little red beams running around, and if you cross them, it sets off the alarm. In the dream, you had to levitate in between those beams. And if you hit the beams, you were shocked or burned. And to teach you to really navigate in between them, and then when you came out of them, you'd straighten up and then levitate to the ground, but you wouldn't touch the ground. I've had dreams like this.
That sounds like a video game. I've also had
dreams where they shoot you up with stuff.
That sounds like okay, here's a video game challenge in your dream, level 4, go. Right? Interesting. Doesn't it seem like it?
In one way it does, but the way when you're in it, there's a true threat, because when I'm in it, I looked over this one time, I looked over to the left, and something was going on, and they were taking this guy down. Whatever the aliens, whoever they were, but they had these, looked like big guns or something, and they just took this guy down and drug him off, and it's like, okay, and you just get the feeling of, okay, don't do that, you'll be fine, just don't look around too much, and just do what you're doing, type of thing. But I have them, when I was in Phoenix, I had my bed was in one spot for years. And it got to the point where I would wake up in the morning, and just as you're waking up, I look up at the ceiling, I'd see, what do they call them, geometric shapes. And, I'd see it clearly. And then as I woke up, it would start to disappear, then I'd see the ceiling. Stuff like that. I mean, it's just one thing after another. I mean, I've got years of stuff like that, but when I look at it, it's there. It's really happening, and it's true. And I actually do have some proof.
Okay, perfect. Can I ask you this then?
I could take you out or anybody out and show you, look what's going on, and then I could show proof to people, but nobody wants to see it. No,
right? Exactly. That's part of the problem, right? Nobody wants to see it. Have you, in your experience with this abduction stuff, have you actually been able to glean any actual agenda from what these quote aliens want in the end of ends? Do you have any idea?
Well, I had this one. I've had 4 consecutive dreams of the same beings, And every time in the beginning, it was always medical. I always had the same nurse, but I had these little grays down there, and there's one big gray, and the little gray's doing stuff. They'd shoot me up with, I'd eat this yellow stuff, and then it looks like I was sitting on a human toilet, right? And then, of course, I guess you're, going to the bathroom, and then they were examining your stool after you went to the bathroom. Because they were down there doing something. I'm sitting on this thing, but it was symbology of, maybe cleansing your system, maybe there's, see how it's going, or they're putting something into your system to change your system or your DNA or whatever's going on. But I think there's a certain agenda. Plus, the one that I had the beings, it was a man and woman or a couple. It was about DNA. And then the first dream I had was, and they manipulate you big time. They manipulate you sexually big time. And because I used to wake up horny as hell in the morning, it's like, why am I so horny? And then, of course, as I wake up, it'd go away. It was like, okay, I don't know why that was there, but, and it would go away. And what I finally got a clue of was I finally had an open dream to where this being was coming down. It was a female, and she goes jump my bones. Then things go black, and then in the dream, I'm like highly aroused. And I'm sitting there just, and I'm just going at it, and everything's going, and I finally woke up in the dream, and I look down, and it's a female. And it's like, okay. And then everything's just like, and it went black because I saw, and it goes black. And then probably, let me see, that was that. And then there was the one about the DNA dream to where they were there again. I used to train horses for a living. And there was a DNA dream where I was there, and at the horse show, and they were testing DNA between a horse and a fish, and the horse had legs but had a fish tail. It's like, all right, this makes no sense to me. But you're thinking seahorse, right? And so this was the dream, and there was a horse trailer there, a two-stall horse trailer. They were there. It was like a regular horse show. But that was going on, and I thought, I don't. And it was, later on, I'd stopped riding. I thought, I could get on there and ride it again, see what they'd be like, and I got on, riding the horse, jumping big. But it was kind of weird. And then at the end of the dream, there was a DNA race going on. It was a Chinese. It was a black and white, check 4. And I was told to stay over top of the Chinese if they did anything wrong or looked like they were cheating to take them out. And then the dream ends. And then there was another dream, the same beings, and they were white with real white fuzzy hair. You know those little Cupid dolls, troll-looking things, they have fuzzy hair?
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, okay, same thing, but just make it white, or eggshell white, off-white, not like white, but off-white. Bodies are white, and and I was bartending and working a hotline at the time, psychic line. And so I'm in the stream, and we're in this big party. And everybody had red cups, red plastic cups or beer bottles. And it was kind of weird. Nobody was really drinking, and I saw them walk by, and I wanted to go, hey, I know you. And it's like, oh. And they didn't acknowledge me. I thought, that's kind of rude. I'm sitting there but I felt very comfortable with all these beings or people around. And so that dream ends. And the last dream I had is where I was on this planet sitting on the dirt. And I was looking around trying to figure out how I was going to get home. And I heard somebody come up behind me. And I got up and turned around. It was a female being with a child.
Uh-oh.
And I'm looking at her, and I'm looking at the child, what do you want? I don't, why am I here? And
she wants alien child support.
For what?
Alien child support. Did the child have your eyebrows? I just want to know.
That's what all the numbers are about. They wanted money.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, anyway, you think human child support's bad? Oh,
it's an intergalactic shakedown. So not to make fun, the jokes come, so the jokes come. We're not making light of this. Sorry about that. Don't want to.
No, we're not. I believe you. I'm making light of it to like it's normal, right? That's all. Yeah. It's what you're saying. It corroborates a lot of things that you hear. Like at one point you mentioned there was a kind of weird looking person that's probably a hybrid, and that they do the abduction is primarily a sexual reproductive sort of thing. So, I mean, this is really interesting, man. Yeah. You have any more to share with us?
Well, at the end of the dream, I'm looking at the child, and I finally went, oh, that's mine. And then once I did that, the female put the child down. The child walked off with her, and she looked at me in a knowing way, like a little smile. and then they walked off. You know, something like that. I've had so much stuff. It's just, I was living up in northern Arizona, and I had this dream where I just moved up there. It's about 3 weeks in, and I'm laying there in this dream, and as I'm waking up, I see this guy in this robe kind of thing with the long white hair and long beard and all this stuff, you know, hanging out. And he wasn't at the pearly gates, but he was at gates, like, you know, wrought iron gates. And he was sitting there, and he had his hand out. He was putting me back in my body. And I was waking up like, I don't want to be back here. And I was like, take me. Just get me out of here. You know? And he put me back, and then I had to wake up. But I felt so much, it was just this incredible security, love, just like, oh, God, I want to be there. It's like the pressure was taken off. You could just, you know, be happy. And they put me back, and as I was waking up, all that went away. Like a big joke.
Of course, right?
But yeah, I've got tons of stuff. But I mean,
nice. Like I said, I always enjoy your calls, man. You always got amazing stuff to tell us. If is there any way that somebody could reach out to you? You said if you can show people proof. Are you open to that? If you know, there's people in the chat saying, hey,
well,
give them my phone number.
The proof would be out in Arizona, not here. Well, you know what I do have? Oh, dude. Oh, forgot. About a little a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. And I have my dog by this tree, right? And it's standing straight up. It grew straight up, and the trunk was about almost an inch wide. It was straight up. Grew up. Honeysuckle didn't pull it down, nothing. It grew straight up. And I got pictures of it before and after. I think about, not this past season, last season, I have to check my pictures when they were taken because I took pictures of it. There's one tree on my property. It is bent over. And the side of it was touching the ground. And it was, you know, 3 weeks earlier, it was standing straight up. No problem. Went down there, it's totally bent over. I took pictures of it, and I went over to try to pull the tree back up thinking, you know, because we had a lot of rain, there was a lot of leaves on it, maybe it's a little heavy, it kind of pulled the tree to the side, but it wouldn't have made it bend over. It was so bent, it was at a right angle. And if it did that, it should have broken the trunk or cracked the bark or something. It was just like it grew that way, but it didn't grow that way. I've got proof of that. And I went down there. I tried to push the tree back up. It was acting like it was tied down to the ground. I couldn't budge it. I mean, it was like iron, just sitting there like pulling. It's like, forget it. I can't do this. Now, eventually, it's starting to grow back up, and the bend, it's gotten taller, and the bend is up the trunk a little ways, and it's starting to, like, you know, straighten out a little bit. But, yeah, I took pictures of that as it progressed and got, you know, started pulling back up after a while. It started straightening out. But, yeah. And I asked about that one, and I was told that the Grays were trying to scare me. It's like, no, you got my interest going. Just scare me. But I have that. It's physical.
Okay.
But I couldn't get anybody to come out and see it.
That's insane. Again, like it's sort of like you know, you find an alien base and you're like, oh, by the way, this thing is over here, and nobody will come out and corroborate it. Yeah, good stuff. We got some questions.
That's what they did.
Yeah, right. Like there's nobody wanted to know. Just bizarre. Question from the chat. In the dream, that sexual dream you said, what did the woman look like? Was it an actual like human female, or was there something weird with that? Was like a hybrid type thing, or something else entirely?
I'd say more hybrid. You know, it was kind of a woman. It was a woman. Had the genitals of a woman. You know, breast. But it wasn't. When you looked at them, it's just there's a difference in the body, kind of thing. It's more spindly. There's not the definition in the body. It's like the body looked like a jumpsuit. Okay, a very tight jumpsuit, but it was just their skin. And that's what it kind of looked like. So there wasn't the definition there, but it's basically the same. And the eyes are a little bigger. You know, they have a mouth, they smile, that type of thing. But the male was a little taller. He was very quiet. He didn't really participate. It was just always a female.
Interesting.
But they played big time on the sex thing because that's the easiest on humans to do.
And it's also the easiest to demean and, you know, make people ashamed and, you know, cover up stories and the rest of that. So I wonder if it's part of like a specific thing they do just to cover up the stories. Now, one last question while I got you on. So isn't it interesting that you said you had this dream, and it's possibly a hybrid and all these other things. It seems to be a curious parallel of like the succubus, right? And that legend from the days of old, the demon that shows up in your dreams in a sexual dream, right? Curious. I wonder if there's a parallel there.
Could be. I mean, when they show up, the thing is, we have all these tales about stuff and these legends and things like that, and it could be. This could be going on for the longest time, and maybe we're here as cattle for breeding for them, because they need DNA, fresh DNA, to rebuild their colonies or their system or whatever it is, and they need us to do that, because this planet is full of, reproduction. That's what this planet is about. It's reproduction. The whole thing. Plants, animals, us, everything is reproduction.
Okay, so they're here for it seems to be the organics. Okay, I said last question. I lied. We have maybe 1 minute left. Final question for you tonight. Did they try and communicate anything to you directly?
I asked about that because I wanted to see them, physically see them in front of me like a human being. Come here, because everybody talks about, I saw Grays in my room. It's like, well, I don't ever see them. And I finally asked them that, and they said, we don't want to scare you. And because I asked them about where the burns came from, and said that we had to restrain you because you were fighting too much. And apparently I fight a lot, because I've come out of dreams with physical injuries to my body. And it hurts for several days, but like my hip's out or the knee, or it's like, where does this even come from? It doesn't make sense. Now it does, but that could be the legends, that's what that's about. Wizards, you name it.
Interesting. Okay, we got to go. Michael J., you were the best. I appreciate, like I said, your calls are the top notch, always the best. You got some great details to give us, and I appreciate you sharing this information. Thanks for being on the show tonight.
No, thank you. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon. That's Michael J. You can find him on the Fringe Discord if you want to check that out, fringe.fm/chat. And there you go. We're out of time here. I'm going to play the outro music, but want to chirp in at 20 seconds, Ash, before we finish this up?
Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. If you're live on the radio, interesting story. Jim Sparks, great caller. There's something going on. We look into it, we do our best, but it's up to you to decide what you think for yourself. So keep tuning in. I'll be here next Wednesday. Check me out, Ash from Mars, and boom, I'm done. 20 seconds.
All right, perfect. Look at that, man. You're like to the second. You're listening to Troubled Minds. Beechwood, call back, man. We're about to go to you after the break. This is the thing. You're listening on Fringe FM. Stay tuned for Joe Roop, Lighting the Void. If you're listening on YouTube, D Live, or Facebook, stay tuned for a third hour of Troubled Minds. This has been Troubled Minds. I'm Mike. This is Ash. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening, you guys. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. This is Michael Strange from Troubled Minds. Did you hear that scientists recently discovered radio waves coming from Proxima Centauri? Well, I cannot confirm nor deny. We are broadcasting from that neck of the woods. You are listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM. What a great caller. That's Michael J. again. Amazing stuff. This is why we do it live. We want to hear firsthand accounts of the things that happen to people out there. If this alien phenomena is real, then people are experiencing it, right? Regular people not presidents, right? Not generals, not movie stars. You. Simply you. And we love to hear this stuff. We're going to take a quick break, 2 minutes. If you want to be part of the show tonight, we got Beechwood on deck. We're going to go to his call in just a sec. 2 minutes. You want to be part of this, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Phone number's up on the stream. Couple-minute break. We're going to be right back. You have me, Ash, you got Beechwood, and you got all kinds of good stuff coming up. Hang tight. We're still talking about Jim Sparks, alien abductions, and what all this actually means. Appreciate it, guys. Hang tight. Hit the restroom, tuck the kids in, top off your drink, grab some popcorn. Be right back. 2-minute break. Okay. What's up? Everybody out there. Hello, hello. We're going to keep doing this. We're going to keep talking about this. We're talking about the Jim Sparks fellow and his abduction scenario and phenomenon, all the rest of this stuff. But again, as always, love to hear from you. That was a great call from Michael J there. And let's kill this music. Let's continue. Let's do what we're doing and talk about the rest of these things. Alien phenomena. I don't know if you're there with me, Ash. Testing 1, 2. Earth to Mars. If not, that's okay, because we came back, I think, a little bit earlier than 2 minutes. All right, so here's the deal. We're going to go to this phone call. We have Beechwood on the line, and we're going to... Okay, all right. All right. Okay, we're going to go to Beechwood, and we're going to talk about the rest of this stuff. Let's looking to hear from you guys tonight. Again, what do you think about this Jim Sparks fellow? Do you think... do you believe that people get abducted, the dozens or hundreds of times, and his agenda, right? The alien agenda seems to be kind of in line with the New World Order in some capacity, right? I think that's interesting that there's at least a correlation there. So let's go to Beechwood, and then we'll keep on trucking here. What's up, Beechwood? You're on Troubled Minds with Mike. How are you, my friend?
Doing awesome, as always. A little tired. Had a long day today. But,
right on. No problem.
That last call was awesome.
Yeah, he's great. He's great.
Calls like that really interest me because I'm kind of up like the same exact alley with my story and, with the dream stuff. But the article the show's about, I kind of believe a lot of what the guy's saying. And, there could be some things he got confused, but there's too many stories that are just too similar. It's just way too similar. And then, I wanted earlier, you mentioned that book, Battlefield Earth, right? Ron L. Hubbard, is that what it was?
Yes, correct.
All right. Now that's they made that a movie, right, with John Travolta.
Yeah, the worst movie ever made, in my opinion. But yeah, definitely.
But I just thought that's interesting because the kid's name, the initials are the same, the JT, and John Travolta's like it's one of the poster boys of Scientology.
Yeah, totally.
And that's just a weird connection. And like the connection between mainstream movies and the media. And it's just weird. It's like it's either mockery or it's like they're hiding something in plain sight. But my take on it, like when I had my experience, was that there's kind of like humans we're like a weapon almost. We're like a tool. We're just a creature trying to survive, and eventually anything that's smarter than us is going to utilize us as a resource, just like we do everything else. It's our frame of time isn't the same as what I got told theirs was. But look at what we come up with in Petri dishes, in couches. I mean, we could very well just be a biological weapon waiting here, and when the time comes when we're ready or we need to be used, they just release us on a planet. Or we could be used for good. We could be like a medicine, because in the medicine world, in your body, it's all about like the bacteria and stuff. And you know, that could just be what we are.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot here regarding just all of this. You know, like what the guy says. It's a little hard to believe, right? But then you get people that have actually had firsthand incidents that they call in, and Michael J is one. He's not the only one. Like if you rewind, like this week marks 3 years of Troubled Minds, right? Like literally next week is going to be the 3-year anniversary of this show. And over 3 years, we've had people call in with all kinds of firsthand, whether they were abduction type things or whether they were, actual visitations. They're called, where you maybe you're not abducted, but you see aliens that come into your living room, things like this, right? There's all kinds of people who've called in, right? And I don't know, call me optimistic. I just have faith in humanity that we're not all nuts, like the detractors would tell you we're all insane, mass hallucinations and all the rest of this. I just don't buy that. I don't, clearly there's going to be some people that, are making things up for attention, or as always, they're maybe mistaken on the details, or, maybe they're literally, clinical. But there's going to be probably a way lot more than that. They saw what they saw. And that's why there's shows like this. That's why there's, interest in these things, because people see some things out there. And there's a stigma. They don't want to bring it up. You bring it up, people laugh at you. They're making jokes in the chat there about, alien probes and these things, It's like, really? I mean, that's not encouraging people to kind of come forward if these things actually happen. I mean, Robert here in chat, what's up, Robert, says on Facebook, what the aliens do sexually to abductees would be considered rape down here. And that's completely true, right? It's completely true. So, yeah, I mean, nuts, crazy stuff here. We got a call behind you on Discord here. So let's get a final thought from you, and we'll keep on trucking with the phone calls. You were the best. You're tired tonight. Why don't you just smoke something and kick back and hang out with us?
That's what I'm going to have to do.
All right.
But you know what? I told my story before about how I'm like positive that there's another dimension here, and I've been there several times. And I don't know if you want me to call tomorrow. Actually, I can do it quick now, but I've had them do terrible things to me. Would you like to hear the worst thing that's happened to me?
Yeah, sure. Let's do that.
That I remember. All right, I somehow went back to this dimension, and I was at work at the same place where it happened, and the guy that brought me there before looked at me, and he said, "How are you here?" And I winked at him, and I just smiled, and I don't know why I did that, and then it was like a dream, and then I was in the bathroom, and I got choked out. Someone came up behind me when I was going to the bathroom, and they started choking me. And then they bent me over the sink, and they shoved a plunger and sodomized with me and killed me with it. Blood poured down my mouth. And the last thing I remember was my head hitting the floor next to the toilet.
Holy smokes.
And then I remember waking up in
Holy
a hospital
smokes.
bed, and then I remember waking up in my bed.
Holy smokes.
But that didn't happen in this reality.
Right. So it was like a dream
I
state.
even asked the guy, but the memory is that real, and it's weird. And now that is actually written in another book that someone wrote about alien abductions, and it's interesting. It's the same person that did it. It's an elite figure that's allegedly an alien. That's what this person claims.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it's in the David Icke book.
Interesting.
But it's not worded right like that. But I'll go get it, and I'll send you the paragraph. I'll take a picture of it.
Okay, please do. You know what to do. Just drop it on Discord, and I'll check it out. I appreciate it. This is Beechwood from Massachusetts. I appreciate the call, my man. Get some rest. We got a whole nother show for you tomorrow. So I appreciate the call. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being part of this, my man.
Take it easy.
You too, man. Have a good night. We'll talk to you soon. Yes, that's horrific. That is horrific. Ash, Earth to Mars. Earth to Mars.
Oh, I'm here. Earth.
Earth to Mars. Wait,
See, sometimes I try to hit the connection button, and I almost hit the disintegration button. So it's like, Butterfingers. Whoops. Last time I did that, dinosaurs.
Please don't do that. Please don't do that. All right, please don't do that.
No, but
take on that call there.
I mean, just on both calls, it's like something's going on. It's really think about it. Okay, the vastness of the universe. There is so many stars, bro. It's like trillions of galaxies. That's like ridiculous. So yes, there are alien lives. There's alien life, dude. There's got to be. And if you peel it back far enough, you see that there's like a shit ton of it. There's lots of aliens. My friend's friend of a friend or whatever, they went on the woods and he told him, he's like, this is all I'll say to you. And they had to get rid of their phones. It's like Men in Black. It's more like Men in Black than you think. And as we kind of peel back and we see these narratives, we're listening to this story, this Jim Sparks story, right? You can't validate shit. You can't. We're off the radio, right?
Yes, sir.
You fucking can't validate shit, right? You can't. You can't validate any of it. But look at all the people calling in with their experiences, and like you said, there's that shame component because it's like when you're handled like cattle, when you're handled like an animal, you're supposed to be like a higher conscious being, and when you're handled in that sense, it fucks with you, right? And so people don't want to talk about it, but guys, I believe you, man. I believe all of you. The tough part is that these experiences are supposedly with dreams, right? They're they wrap it up. They wrap it in dreams. They make you see things. So a lot of times they'll make you see. They go to the least path. This is what Jim Sparks says, and this is what's so interesting is he has a lot of hot takes on it, and that they go with the least path of resistance. I can't speak today, and I stopped drinking too. Crazy, I still can't speak. So if you like carnivals, that's what you'll see instead of a spaceship. So they kind of flow with your brain, right? To use what's there to create these screen memories, or maybe it's a program that they put in you to you run for yourself. I don't know, but it just. We talk about this stuff and people call in and they have these experiences, and for me to sleep better at night, I just it's bullshit. But in the back of your mind, when if you research this stuff enough, something there, and maybe if it hasn't happened to you, there's millions of people on this planet who if you poke enough, you'll find out that something has happened to them. So it's crazy, and it is scary that to not be the top of the top of the pyramid or top of the chart, right? That's kind of an uneasy thing to kind of live with. So a lot of people don't want to hear it at the end of the day, so I don't know, but look at the people calling in. I bet if I posted this on certain groups or certain things, and you'd get more people, lots of people, and these things are happening to them, and they need to talk about it, man. Hell, someone says something kind of rude to me, hurts my feelings. It'll be 6 years later, I'll be in the shower and be like, man, why'd that guy say that to me? So I'm a bit of a pussy, I guess. But I know that we're all kind of like that. So people are going through this stuff and they have nowhere to go talk about it. But and they probably doubt themselves or not sure if it's real or not. It's crazy stuff. And but with this Jim Sparks bringing it back, it seems like it's a good thing. It seems like they're just trying to help solve Earth's problems, and they probably live here, and we have a relationship with them. So it's all secret and it's all scary and it's weird, but maybe it's not all bad, right? Maybe it's good. I don't know. So
yeah, you never know.
Yeah, hot takes.
More hot takes. We got another one. We're gonna go to. This is John from Facebook. He's on Discord because he's in Facebook jail. What's up, John? You're on Trouble Minds with Mike and Ash if you're out there. Test 1 2. Testing 1 2.
What's up, man? What's up?
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Oh, not bad. I was just hanging out. How are you doing today?
Good. Doing what we do, man. It's Wednesday. It's the Maybe Juice Day. We talk some aliens and some abductions. What do you think about this stuff? Do you think that this is there's an alien menace and they're coming down and doing the abductions and with the cattle and the people and the whole deal? And I don't know if you've been listening for a while, but there's like some sort of correlation with the New World Order here, according to this guy, the Jim Sparks guy. What do you think about all this?
Man, I'll be honest with you. I don't really believe in aliens. I'm a pretty religious guy, and I don't think people are having, how do I put this? I don't think it's aliens these people are having like connections with and stuff happening to. I think they're actually demons. So to me, whenever someone says, I had an alien experience, to me that's more like, well, this demon was messing with this guy. Or stuff like that. So that's kind of where I'm a little bit different. I talked to Ash about this the other day. But demon, alien, who knows? It could be the same thing. I definitely believe that people are having experiences. My word is demon. Your word is alien. But I don't doubt anyone unless there does come a point where if someone has 50 stories. You know what I mean? Like that perfect, I have a rebuttal for everything. Then that's where I kind of count doubt, cast a little doubt. But for the person that's like, hey, like this 2 or 3 times this happened in my life, these having some weird situations going on. Can I talk to you about them? And I kind of put it in the same category as like, my grandfather, who's a Vietnam vet. He never talked about anything until like the end of his life, and then he needed to get it off his chest. And that's when I kind of take the situations way more serious, is when it's someone who's older who's been holding on to it for a long time. But for me, I think when you guys are talking about reptilians in the center of the earth, to me that sounds like hell. Just full on out there. And when you get out to space and all that stuff, I really just think we're looking at a bunch of demons messing with people.
Yeah, no, I think there's some merit to that. Like, kind of why I brought up that succubus, right? So in Michael's story there, he said that there's sort of a, kind of a sexual connotation with these dreams, a dream state abduction scenario, and it does have a correlation to the demonic succubus, where they, and they come and take your semen in your dreams, right? So, I mean, like, literally that lines up nearly perfectly. It just depends on, you say tomato, I say tomato, whether it's alien or whether it's demon. They're like a demonic force. It still seems to be, in some capacity, an entity that's not human that arrives and is using people for some sort of, in the succubus mythology, they're actually using the seed from the human to create more demons, right? And so in the alien mythology, it's basically the same thing, except they're using them to make hybrids, right? Weird though, don't you think? A little bit of synchronicity there, and not to discount the religion and all that. Like I said, you're allowed to be you, and it's cool. I'm not trying to tell anybody what to think, but for me, I hate to say agnostic because that's just a dirty word. I'm just open to all of it. It's okay to be all of those things, and I think we need all of those people to exist in this world. So. But to me, that's trying to take it all in and figure it out. It seems like there's a whole hell of a lot of synchronicity between those stories, and it almost doesn't even matter, right? In some point,
really don't.
If you're talking about non-human entities taking like sexual, reproductive things from humans and using them to create other non-human things, that's a terrifying scenario.
Well, on top of that, when you mentioned, making human hybrids, well, if you look at it like I do, well, that's called a Nephilim. It's a fallen angel sleeping with the human, making like this hybrid. And so, I mean, really, when you get to aliens and demons, it's the same stuff. We all have the same explanation. It's just one of them saying, oh, it's a creature that believes in science doing it. And I'm the other guy going, oh, no, it's demons using, supernatural powers and manipulation tactics. Either way, they're using manipulation tactics. But I will say, if aliens are real and they're not demons, I am going to get some Naruto runners, and we're going to get into that Area 51 and clap some cheeks.
We're doing that, right? No, look, this is the thing. So let me ask you though. So as a religious man, do you think it's possible that both exist? Let's say that there's a demonic presence and there's also flesh and blood extraterrestrials. Do you think the two are actually compatible in the same story, the same mythology?
Well, I think, okay, so if one comes down in a ship and lands out in front of me and comes out and says, hey, I'm from Uranus. First off, I'm going to make a joke. Second off, I'm going to be like, yeah, you're still a demon, though.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, but would you bang that demon?
Go ahead, Ash.
It just depends. Hot. Is it a succubus?
Yeah, it's hot. Like that.
I can't do that then. I can't do that. That would be too bad. But,
you don't know. They're just hot. They look weird. But they're still hot.
The alien. It has to be just a total grotesque situation.
Then you'll bang it? Is that what you're saying?
Then I'll do it. If it's something where it's hot, right. That's morally justifiable. If I have to do it, it has to be just completely weird.
There's something about it. Okay, and I know we're like tangenting and getting stupid, but there is something about like a lot of people want to bang aliens. That's like the first thing that comes up all the time. I don't know. Maybe that's like some
human nature,
demon alien software programmed in. Make sure that we hook up with them. And I don't know. I'm just saying. It's like the first thing. Every time. It's the first thing. It's like the first thing.
It really
Clapping alien cheeks.
Clapping cheeks. That's it. Well, I mean, if you really think about it, no matter what we invent, there is always like a sticker put in there, do not insert penis or something like that. Like, and then there's a meme like, bought a ceiling fan or what they say, got instructions not clear, dick stuck in fan. You know what I mean? Just stuff like that.
Yeah, this is a thing. I don't know, man. Like as you know, it's the reason you're here. There are no answers here. There are no easy answers. I think like just like you said, if everybody has like a perfect rebuttal to everything, and they have all the answers, you should be super suspicious, right? Including your pastor.
Oh yeah, no. My man, I tell you what, me and modern church are very much at odds.
Yeah.
So
as I think it makes it difficult, just like you said. I agree with you 100%. It's just like these demagogues on the radio and these guys that talk about, they know all the right things politically. They know everything. It's like, no, come on, screw off. You don't know shit. You're a propagandist asshole that's trying to make us believe some shit that we don't believe.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, it's
kind of like. Graham, and he said, or maybe it wasn't Graham. He said, Jesus, he would have got the vaccine, and I was kind of like, he wouldn't have because he was the son of God, so he probably wouldn't have needed him. Churches are crazy nowadays. I really do avoid them.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I will always find common ground when it comes to an alien story, because to me, an alien story is the same as a demon story.
Nice. All right. Fair enough, man.
And then and like them going underground, going in other dimensions, looking reptilian or looking like dark eye. It is the same thing. If you really like compare stuff to religions, you can see the same, very consistent. It's just different language to describe the same thing, right? So yeah, we can be on the same page. And there's kind of like a weird. Like when I see a picture of a gray, I have like a reaction, like kind of in my gut, my gut feel, or like I imagine if a reptilian stood in your room, like a giant lizard person, you'd have a reaction. And is that reaction there, like from like experience, or it's put there, or you just know, or and all these different weird experiences. If you roll back through time. Is different language, different stuff. Yeah, I agree. I agree, brother. Thanks for calling in, man.
Good stuff. Good stuff. You were the best. This is John calling in from Facebook jail because, well, somebody's got to do it. Thanks, John.
Yeah. I smuggled a cell phone out in my prison purse and then called you guys.
Appreciate that. What are your one phone call? You're the best. Thanks, John. We'll talk.
You're screwed. If you're your one phone call, you're screwed, man.
You're totally screwed.
I'll come by to abduct you later. Don't worry. I'll
take the portal.
There you go. All right. Next, we got more Discord callers. Thanks, John. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great one, man.
Hey, buddy.
All right. Thanks, man. All right. So let's go to Jay. Jay, you were on with Mike and Ash, and it's no problem. I know you gotta work it out. Axel, we got you. You're up next, and we're doing the thing. We're talking about aliens. We're talking about this guy Jim Sparks. He's been saying that for dozens of years here, he's had hundreds of abductions, and he's kind of telling us that the aliens have this weird New World Order agenda, right? Kind of like Klaus Schwab and the Great Reset, or the Georgia Guidestones, or like I make the joke about Thanos snapping his fingers, and depopulation is the way we're going to save this planet. I have a problem with that. That sounds like a declaration of war to me. I mean, being just a knucklehead, on the internet that doesn't know anything about anything. Thanks, MJ, for being part of the show again. Fantastic call. I appreciate you being honest with us and telling us your story. All right, so no Jay. I don't know what's up with Jay, so I'm going to bump him out. We're going to go to Axel. Let's go to Axel. Axel, you're on Troubled Minds with Mike and Ash. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Mike. How are you?
Doing very well. Doing what we do, man. Tonight's alien abduction night, and talking about this Jim Sparks guy. What do you think about all this stuff we're talking about?
I'm sorry if my sound quality is bad. I'm out and about in the world right now instead of at my house.
You sound fantastic, by the way. You sound great. I would never know if you didn't tell me.
The last caller was bringing up the Nephilim. That's actually kind of connected to Jim Sparks. My understanding is like later in his life, he got very obsessed with the Book of Enoch, which is like the most full description of like what the Nephilim were up to. And so maybe he was making those connections too.
Yeah, so basically, like we're saying, kind of like the alien demon is basically just your vernacular, right? It just depends on what you want to call these things. It seems like they're doing similar things.
Well, I mean, as the last caller pointed out, the Nephilim story is, these otherworldly beings coming to Earth and creating hybrids, and then God wipes them all out, if I remember correctly, but in the flood.
Hey, man, every 10,000 years or so, you got to have a flood. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I've been told.
that's hey, man. It's written in stone, brother. It's written in stone. But yeah, so do you think there's any merit to this? Do you think this is all science fiction, or do you think there's actually something to this?
I've been listening to about 80% of tonight, but other than that, I'm just not very familiar with Jim. I was calling in. Well, I was going to call in to talk about wildlife management. But if we're going to talk about alien experiences, I actually had my own alien dream since the last time we talked, and we were talking about lucid dreaming, so I could tell you about that.
Sure. And I'd also, before we get into that, just real quick, I would also like to hear your take, if you have time, on that wildlife management, because it was a great comment. But yeah, go right ahead, sir.
Well, okay, let's do wildlife management first. That's quick. I was just thinking that, I always try and take this stuff seriously, and so the question is, what if the aliens are right in the sense that, maybe humanity really is going to wipe itself out, and then you're starting to look at how many of these people can we realistically save, and who else would you work with except the people that already have power?
That's a great point. I think that's a great point. It would have to be the knuckleheads in power, unfortunately. Imagine if they showed up on your doorstep or my doorstep. They're like, knock, 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 Michael Strange. We'd like to make a treaty with mankind. I'd be like, oh shit, do you have time for tea? We need to talk. You know what I mean? So I think as the hierarchy of man is, I think they'd probably have to land on the White House lawn to knock on the right door. Unfortunately, because that sounds horrific.
But anyways, I remember most of the time I don't really remember my dreams for that long, but this one was pretty vivid and I remember it. Now I think that it's just because I was listening to too much of your guys' show rather than an actual alien visitation.
That'll happen, man. Sometimes I'm just doing the show. I have crazy, I'll lose my mind a little bit too. So I hear you. I hear you on that.
But anyways, it was a lucid dream. I knew I was dreaming. And there was this red light. And silhouetted by the red light was a vaguely humanoid figure. It had 4 arms. And it talked to me, and it was very loud compared to how things normally sound in a dream. And not only that, but I felt, this is why I remembered, I felt like I could actually hear it. Like, normally if you're hearing noise in a dream, it feels different than if you're really hearing something. But I could feel that my ears were registering it, which is not normally what happens when you have a dream voice. The guy, it was a brief message, but he said that it was like they were the Mecrons. They're from the other side of the Horsehead Nebula. It's about 1,000 light years away. I looked it up afterwards, and that they were coming. And I could ask him a question, sort of like to prove his bona fides. And I know what I asked, but I was going to put to you guys. What do you ask the dream alien if you only get one question?
That's a hell of a question there. I don't know. I'd literally have to like think about it. I'd have to like make a chart. I'd have to like probably do like a vote on like the top 10 questions, and then you know what I mean? Like that's a heavy thing.
The message is coming right now. I didn't have a lot of time. I was just wondering what you guys would be.
Okay, if I don't have a lot of time, I would say, why us? That'd be my question.
That's about. What about you, Ash? I know you know more about aliens than we do, but.
Oh, I'd be like, what should I ask? That's kind of, because I'm a dummy, and there's probably some like higher level intelligence being. So just defer to their judgment, and then he tell me something about 4D, 5D space I wouldn't understand, and I'd be like, damn, should I ask something good?
I thought for just a second, and then I asked, can you tell me the principles of your interstellar travel?
That's a good one.
And
that's a good one. Yeah. And
the guy said, I don't really work on the propulsion systems.
Damn.
And so I said, you must know some of the basics. And then he told me, and I wrote this down, mass vector field decoupling. So that is my answer I got back.
Holy shit. Wait. Wouldn't it have been
funny.
The best? He's all element 115. Ask Bob Lazar.
Yeah. That would have been better.
Oh, geez, man. All right. So was that recent, huh? The last couple weeks or whatever?
Oh, it was after. I think I called in about a month ago. It was after that because but it was more than 10 days ago, less than when I called in last time.
Okay.
Interesting. Did you need assistance for your lucid dream? Was this an assisted lucid dream?
No. I'm naturally a lucid dreamer. Like almost all the dreams I remember I'm lucid during. I've been a lucid dreamer since I was young, and I've gotten. It used to be only a handful of them would be, but now like they basically, if I remember them, they're lucid.
Crazy. That could be a good thing and a bad thing. I took these neuro sleeps, and I had a lucid dream, and I was stuck as Sherlock Holmes. Everyone was treating me like I was Sherlock Holmes, solving a mystery, and I was just me. I'm like, I'm not Sherlock Holmes. I don't know what you're talking about. And they're like, Sherlock, what should we do? And it turned out they were werewolves, really werewolves. So I know it's a dream. I know it's BS. But it doesn't matter. I can't escape. It's lucid, and they're actually werewolves, and they're breaking down the door. And yeah, that was my last lucid dream experience. So
I like I said, I've been doing it for decades, so I'm quite good at manipulating my dreams. So I normally just roll with the punches.
God mode. You're God mode. Gotcha. You just cheats. You put the cheat codes into the game.
I also can wake myself up from sleeping pretty easily if I'm in a lucid dream. So I can hit the abort button normally if I want to wake up.
Nice.
Now I got a question for you. You said that they said that they're coming.
Yes.
And that's kind of like based off of that one show we had where that woman mentioned that they're coming. Did you get a sense of when they're coming? If this dream means anything?
No, and while the voice did have a certain presence, I will say that it was not a reassuring we're coming. It wasn't. I didn't get the feeling that it was like, oh, and this is going to be great when it happens.
All right.
So that was, but also they weren't like we're coming to kill you. I just have I don't know. I have you know what? I don't know. I didn't get a good sense of motive, I guess is what I would say.
Gotcha.
That's fair.
Cool though. Thanks for sharing. That's really interesting.
Shit. Anything else while we got you on, Axel?
Oh no, that's probably fine. I'll try and call in. So I won't try and wait a month again before I call in next time.
No, don't do that. Look. There's tons of smart people listening to this show, and you guys need to call in more often, not less often. Come on. Try and make us like a once a week type of thing. I would appreciate it. You're a smart guy. You got great takes. You tell a great story, dude. Please, more often.
All right, thanks, Michael.
Thanks. Have a great night, man. Appreciate the call. There we go. As simple as that. You guys can be on the show, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link. You can be part of the show. And that's what's up. The great stories, great people tonight. As always, like think about it. Right? Rewind this entire damn show, right? Ash and I talked for like an hour and a half when we got no calls. And then bam, then we just get like call after call after call after call of amazing people. And smart people telling great stories, firsthand experiences. WTF, right? It's unique. It's unique in the world. This is a good thing. I'm so glad we ever started this and got to this point where people are comfortable calling in and talking about the things that are good for them. It's a good thing. This is a good thing. We got one more. Yeah. We got another call on the phone line, but I have to go to the little boys' room. I'll call it the men's room because that was a Goonies reference. If anybody has watched that old ass movie, can you give me 60 seconds, Ash, and go ahead and filibuster this MFer?
Sure, I can filibuster this son of a bitch. I'm ready.
All right,
I'm ready.
I'll be right back.
All right,
get it.
So yeah, actually, Mike mentions people calling in, and there's people messaging me on Discord, and they're sharing their experiences too. And people reach out all the time, leave comments, and we all have weird stuff that happens, and we're trying to figure it out. Like, what does it mean? And sometimes, with dreams, remote viewing, the souls, aliens, demons, what is this stuff? What is there? And I think that humans can only understand so much, right? But we can still kind of experience these things. And it's good to talk about it, not to hold it in and, have guilt or shame. So we love that you guys call in. I mean, I love hearing these stories. It's super fascinating because there's a lot of just voices and things you read on the internet. But, when we can come together and we can have these conversations, we can kind of paint a picture for ourselves, right? And walk away with a little more than we had when we first came to the table. So yeah, Jim Sparks, interesting story. I told you it'd be interesting, right? There's some hot takes here, and there's stuff I forgot too about this story that I don't remember. But yeah, he's got a book. It's called The Keepers, which I'm assuming is what he calls these aliens. And he mentions that at one point he gets yanked out, and he's in a field with a bunch of reptilians, and they're talking about him, and he has different psychic feelings with reptilians. He felt like they had more personality, more consciousness, and they were communicating with him because he has a thing for saving the Amazon rainforest or the tree program, and they were really excited about that, and they were talking to him. So it seems as if from this guy's stories over time, for whatever reason, he gained credibility with aliens, gained a relationship, and kind of moved up the rank per se, and was able to kind of interact in a variety of different ways. He got to learn their language, communicate with them, help with abductions, all sorts of stuff. So it's a really interesting story. It's one that stuck out to me. When I listened to the whole thing, I was like, wow, really? Lots of interesting takes about the technology, how things work, why, and a lot of the questions that you would naturally kind of have about this phenomenon or be curious or want to know more kind of comes up in a lot of the things he talks about. And he talks about it a lot, and he is naturally curious, so he does seek that. So if this is something that's true, it's a really good source. If not, I don't know. Don't sue me. I don't know.
I'm here, Ash. You're doing great. I'm taking notes and giving you a scorecard. I'll send it over after we're done.
Great. I love F's. Nice. You can put it up on the wall with all the other ones.
All right.
And then I can go right to the detention and get grounded.
Perfect. Put you in the alien detention. All right. So we got Jay from New York on the phone. Let's go to Jay from New York. Thanks for giving me a minute there, Ash. All right, Jay, you're on Trouble Minds with Mike and Ash. How are you, my friend?
Ash, Mike, it's a pleasure.
Thank you. The pleasure's ours.
Really. Ash, never use the cheat code. You pay good money for that video game. Play it on the expert level. Right off the bat, Get your money's worth and just keep doing it until you get to the end. Don't use the cheat codes.
All right, fair enough.
But
good advice.
Segue back to what was going on with the show, with the alien abductions and stuff like that. I have a really close secondhand experience with that. I was a Cub Scout leader and assistant scoutmaster for a Boy Scout troop, and the guy who was taking over for me doing the Cub Scout thing, because my kid was already 2 years down the road in the Boy Scouts and I was stuck at it because nobody else wanted the job. Kane, great guy and everything else like that. Went out hunting one day. Came back, minor injuries. His first memory was waking up in his truck driving to home on his GPS. Didn't remember his wife, his kids, his parents, nothing. I mean, nothing. To this day, you know, he's trying to piece shit back together today. He's my friend on Facebook, if anybody wants to really look into it.
Wait. He went out in the woods, and then he like kind of comes to. He's in his car, and he doesn't remember his friends, his family.
He was driving his car to GPS. He was driving his car to home on GPS. His car was set. Go home on GPS. He got home. His wife was there. His kids were there, or something like that. He didn't know anybody. All he knew is that he was going home. They took him to the hospital.
Oh.
Did all kinds of tests on him, stuff like that. They got no freaking clue trying to get back to being on the radio. But
damn, that's crazy.
No
wow.
idea. To today. He's still trouble every day. Every once in a while, I'll send you a text message or something like that. It's like, did we do this? And I was like, yeah, dude, we were in Philadelphia with a whole shitload of Cub Scouts running around like madmen, counting heads all night long. We tied balloons to them so we could keep track of them.
So do you think like the aliens grabbed them, they were abducting them, and then they were like, one of them used the device and tripped, and they're like, oh no, just put him back.
Well,
oh no.
John, who just called, you know, aliens, demons, whatever it was, something serious happened to that dude. I mean, serious. You know?
That's crazy story, man.
Tree stand to watch the deers go by, and which one's the asshole that you're going to shoot to fill your freezer? Because when you go out hunting, you don't shoot the young guy or the guy who's not really doing nothing. You go after the guy's being a dickhead, you know? There's big bucks going around, bullying around all the does and bullying around all the young bucks and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow, that guy weighs 175 pounds. I'm putting his ass in my freezer because he's an asshole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what, though, too?
You're a reptilian, dude, you know? Are you guys here to eat us?
Yeah. Let me cut in here. And so
population of the earth.
This is part of the problem, I think, with a lot of this, is that there's, you know, in instances like this, like you said, whether it's like an alien or a, you know, whether he had like an aneurysm, you know, like a minor aneurysm, or, you know what I'm saying? Like whether it's a medical thing or whether it's an alien or a demon or something happened, right? There's real trauma involved with this stuff. And I think that's part of why it's important to be able to talk about this in an open forum and give us a fake name. It's fine, you know, like you don't have to be you can be somebody else and just kind of get it off your chest of these are the things that happened, right? But there's real trauma with this stuff, man. Like these things happen to people, and whatever these quote, these things are, they happen to people and they change their lives forever, right? They turn them into a shell of their former self and they have to live with it forever for the rest of their mortal life. And, you know, I think it's worth mentioning, like that's horrible that happened. Whatever happened to that guy, whatever that was, right? It's terrifying. And if it can happen to somebody randomly, you snap your fingers, it could happen to you. It could happen to me. And again, you know, I think it's worth talking about. This is crazy stuff. What happened to him? Did he recover and get all that back, or what happened?
No, no. His kid he was 7 years old. He was a wolf scout. I went over to his house because he missed it because, you know, mom was working and dad was home jelly beaned, and he earned his badge and he deserved it. So I went over to his house to see him and dropped it off and talked to his dad. And he had no idea. I mean, I cooked hamburgers for, 25, 30 Cub Scouts and all their parents and everything else like that with the guy. I mean, we were talking about baseball games and we were friends. We went camping and stuff together. He had no idea. He still has no idea who I am other than the fact from 3 years ago, maybe even 4 years ago. I'm old now, so you lose track of time, but he has no idea that he knows me. He knows me from me going over there and helping him to remember.
Is he normal now though? Like, is he
in karate?
Is he like building memory now,
sorry,
like normal? It's just everything from a certain point.
And piece it back together. He's trying to go back and piece everything
That's crazy, man. That's nuts. That is nuts.
Some people say he fell out of his tree stand, bonked himself on the noggin, but the MRI and the CAT scans and stuff like that say no. He just, I don't know, he blipped. He had a 20-second timeout somewhere in there and lost, I don't know. He remembers getting married to his wife, but he doesn't remember any of it. He's missing 8-10 years or something like that. It's not.
Okay, I'm joking. Okay, so I'm going to preface this. But what if he's just pretending because he doesn't want to be friends anymore? And they're like, oh, no, he's coming over again. Oh yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm joking.
No, he went back to being the baseball coach, and he went back to doing the thing where they pack the secret little backpack lunches that they give to the kids that don't have food to take home on Friday, so they got food all weekend. We used to do that with the Boy Scouts. We'd go over and we'd pack like the plastic giant bags that are illegal in New York right now with the Lunchables and the peanut butter and jelly thing, Crustables or whatever they're called, food that's good forever. And the kids that were really poor and stuff like that, you'd put it in their backpack when none like the other kids were looking and send them home with enough food to get them through the weekend where they got free food at school. He was a really cool dude, man. And he went back to it because pastor of the church told him, hey, dude, this is what you used to do, And he's like, yeah, that's a great idea. Well, yeah, that actually was your idea.
Yeah. So, okay. The thing is,
he really is. He's a good dude.
Yeah. No doubt there. The thing is, though, right? That's a scary story because science doesn't know. There's no explanation, right? So we end up with this guy that his life has changed forever. Nothing. He's done the MRIs. He's done all the things, right? So he didn't have the aneurysm. He didn't have the things I suggested. Something happened to this guy, and he's literally just has like a blank 10 years in his life now. That sounds like something from...
Well, that guy with the sightings on 18 wheels that called up early in the show when my mom was yapping my ear off on the telephone, because that's what happens when I miss about first hour of your show every time.
That's okay.
I'm talking on
God bless your mom. God bless your mom. No problem.
But I saw... Well, I mean, that's important that we talk to people. We're actually talking to people. We're not chatting with people because so much gets lost in the chat, You
don't like poop emojis? What's wrong with you?
It really does.
Come on.
No, I do. I think they're really funny. And some of that stuff that comes across there on the Discord during the day that pops up on my phone, I'm like, what the hell is this? It's better than Facebook. Oh, that's funny. But it's great, It's because it's real people, we can actually talk to each other,
Yeah, so we got a question in the chat from Axel. Let me ask you a question about this guy. Axel wants to know, did he lose his skills or just his personal memories?
No, he did lose a lot of his skills. He lost his job and everything. He couldn't go back. He had motor problems for the first year or so, like stumbly. when he was trying to get it back together, when the kid was going for his Bear Scout and everything else like that, before the mother said that she just couldn't do it anymore because there was just too much stuff to do, work and take care and manage. No, he lost a lot of skills.
Holy
I think
smokes.
it was like a struggle for him to wash dishes in the beginning.
Yeah, see, that's a great question, Axel. Thank you. Important details here, right? Like, kind of, there's tons of like those tiny little things we learn throughout our life that we don't even consider skills anymore, but they are. You know, like a skill is walking, and so right, like that's a great question. Hey, Jay, thank you for sharing this. We got to go. We got about just a little less than 10 minutes left. Final thought while we got you on the phone. Thanks for sharing that. Who knows, man? Demons, aliens. Medical, like this is the thing, right? Like this is an unknown thing that is terrifying. If it happens randomly to healthy people, I think we should keep an eye on this, right? We should be. These are the things that should be said in public, and nobody wants to hear them. But yeah, good stuff, my man.
I just really think that cool. We get to see what's really going down because it's happening right in front of us. You know. You get to see it. Whatever it is, you know. The skyscrapers in the sky that come down like on the science fiction shows, or, hey, look, all you got to do is step through this little stone ring and you're 50,000 galaxies away. You learned how to bend space and time. I think, you know, we already know too much. That it's out there. We know it. I mean, come on, just
well, I think the measuring and the marble counting and exactly figuring out what the hell's going on with it is the question, which is why we even have a show, to be honest, because there's tons of shit out there that's going on that people have no idea what's really happening. Jay, you're the best, my friend. Thank you again for all your enthusiasm. Thanks for listening. Thanks for calling. God bless you and the family. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Okay.
Ditto.
Thanks a lot, my man. Thanks a lot, my man. Thanks a lot. That's Jay from New York. Good stuff. Good stuff. Again, like you rewind and look at all the smart people calling. And thank you again. Thank you guys. We're blessed with a lot of really, really fantastic people that have made this show more than the sum of its parts. Right. That's kind of the thing. Is that I always say, and Ash says, and we mean it. You know, we're literally just a couple dudes on the internet with microphones, and we're trying to make sense of the world too. And if this stuff is fake, fine. You know, like without the conversation, how the hell are we supposed to know? And that's what we're here doing. That's what we're going on. So we're talking about Jim Sparks and alien abductions and all the rest of this. How do we wind this up, Ash?
Yeah. So, great. Yeah, great calls. Lots of interesting stuff. And man, the mind, man. What is it? What even is it? And do you have control over it? And it seems like they have control over it. And I don't know. It's kind of like it's a crazy world we live in. We talk about crazy stuff here, everything from souls and aliens and remote viewing and boogeymen and entities and other dimensions. We talk about all the crazy stuff here, right? And is it just crazy? Or is it just reality? And we just don't understand it, you know? Like, do monkeys talk about cars? No, but cars exist, right? Like, if I take my dog in a car and we just drive, I look at my dog and it's like, does he ever think that he's in a car? You know, like if I heat up food and I give it to the dog or I get it from the freezer, does the dog think like, how did this get hot or cold? Probably not.
Probably.
Right. And so if there's like more to reality, it's the same thing with us. Like, do we really think about this? No, most of us don't. But some of you do. And that's why you're here now on Troubled Minds Radio, listening to us right now.
Smart monkeys. You're the smart monkeys.
Yeah, exactly. You are the smart puppy. You're the dog that can do the thing with the buttons, you know, like outside, you hit the button, outside. And we're like, wow, that dog is smart. Some aliens are looking at us and we're like, these monkeys are smart, right? You are the smart monkeys. Congratulations. You've made it. Thank you. Congratulations. No, but thanks for tuning in, guys. Like, this stuff it's weird, and it's like, I don't know. Like, again, you know, I like to link these things up, and Mike, you did the same links I did, man. You did it better than I did. You linked even more than I did. I was like, I wanted to kind of bring it in. I thought I was being clever. You were already there, bro. But that's the show. We're building this like hypothetical reality, right? But remember, guys, we don't know. Like unless you've had your own personal experiences, right? I haven't had really much that could really push me over. But man, I'm still curious as to what's out there. So I keep this like hypothetical reality of like fucking werewolves and demons and aliens and stuff, and I keep it. But you also have to operate in the real world, and I think that's like an important thing to point out. And so, just like with this Jim Sparks story, put it up on the wall, right? Let's put it up on the wall. Let's make comparison circles to other things. I think it's a really interesting story. And from all these common things, there's kind of a narrative building, right? It connects to like what's going on now. And I think as the years go by, we'll get even more validation, or we'll pull away from it. I don't know, but so we're all in it together. We got the Agenda 2030, COVID, all this stuff going on, and we'll do our best to kind of like be aware of stuff, and we're all on the same team. And love you guys. Thanks for calling in. Appreciate you.
Exactly right. And thanks for listening. Thanks for, again, all the chat, all the good stuff. Thanks for sharing the show. Like I said, you guys know I appreciate you a lot. We're at the very end. We're like at the bitter end of this. The fingernails clinging to the time as it slips by, right? And you guys are still here listening. You think about that. Like there's some people like don't even have like a TikTok attention span. You can't get through like a 12-second video, right? Except here we are 3 freaking hours later, and you guys are like, go longer. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's validation in so many ways that there are bigger questions in this world. And nobody's asking them. Nobody's talking about them. And, and again, like John from Facebook Jail called in earlier. And, I'm not particularly religious, but it's still, we were able to have a conversation, right, regarding the exact same things, just kind of agreeing that maybe the vernacular is a little bit different. It's incredible. Like when you open your mind to the possibilities of what's actually happening. And, I see you, Tam. What's up, Tam? I can see Tam's comments. Yes, Tam from South Africa. Sorry, we got caught up on a bunch of things. I didn't say hi to the people in chat as they come. I like to do that for everybody. I got ECAT on YouTube as well. Danny Boy. We got lots of people I haven't said hi to. Kind of as we get to the end, we kind of try and smash a bunch of information in. But you get what I'm saying, right? There's like an entire, like the world views of people, right? Like how many billions of people are on this planet? There's literally that many worldviews. It's literally billions of worldviews. And so I'm not suggesting any one of them is correct. Of course, you know that about me. We're not trying to do that. We're not trying to like beat the wardrobe. Well, except we just think that there can be better things for us in the end. But if we can't get past our stupid petty differences, then what's the point? And that's really what this is all about. That's really what this show's all about. It's what it's always been about, and that's what we're here doing. So yeah, sorry Tam. Yeah, sorry chat if I did. Kelly, we got some good stuff in the chat. I just didn't acknowledge it because we had so many good callers and so much stuff to cover. But yeah, so back to this, right? The alien abduction phenomena. This guy Jim Sparks, right? We'll like Ash said, we'll put the data point on the board. We'll consider it noted, and we'll continue trucking. We'll continue talking about some crazy stuff because it's what we do, right? Like who knows the nature of reality? The nature of our reality is what we process through the gray matter between our ears, which is under attack constantly by what? By the propaganda media, right? By the government, by all the things that we always talk about. It's under attack. And so that's the point, meaning that somebody out there is doing a lot of work and spending a lot of time and money to make you believe some bullshit that is not true. And it's important. This is important stuff, guys. Again, like I said, we wouldn't have ever started this if we didn't think it was an important project. And here we are. Next week is 3 years of Troubled Minds. Can you freaking believe it? 3 full fucking years. How about that, Ash? That's amazing, man.
Man, gotta rethink my life. No, I'm joking.
Right?
No, it's great. No. It's funny. It's I was just I would just listen in, and I would do this research. Okay, so one of the reasons we're talking about Jim Sparks is because, guys, I do my own research. I'm curious. I'm very curious. I want to know too, right? So that's my curiosity drove me here to this show, and done a lot of shows talking about this kind of stuff. So, I called in, and now, stuff happened. ABC, 1, 2, 3, and now I'm here on Wednesdays, and it's just it's a beautiful thing. And so I'm glad you started this thing, Mike, and I'm always appreciated to be here, and it's good for me too. It's therapeutic to get stuff off my chest, and another reason why I love when you guys call. It makes me feel like I'm not losing my mind, So,
it's true.
Yeah,
man. It's true.
So
it's true. Shout out to Kelly, the very first caller ever. I'm pretty sure the Phil Schneider episode, he called and he's all, I believe him. Go back and listen. I was like, holy shit, you believe him? we're not just here talking circles and like, you know what I mean? It's like, holy shit, somebody out there is hearing what we're saying, Like good stuff, man. Good stuff, Yeah. It's all good. It's all good. All right. So this is the thing. At the bitter end, with your fingernails on the concrete as the time ticks off, and it's 3 hours in, you're still here listening. And honestly, we're honored for that. Thank you. It means a lot. There's a lot of information we need to talk about and think about, and we'll continue doing it. We'll continue doing our best to bring it to you. And like I said, please don't ever take the things we say as fact. This is a post-truth world, and you should spend some time kind of going through what these things really mean. They may not mean anything at all, right? They may.
No.
Yeah.
True.
So that's
it literally could be a disinformation campaign. It could just be crazy people. Like you never know, right? And like I said earlier, just throw it up on the board. Throw it up on the board with us. I would hate to steer anyone in the wrong direction. Think of it as like, and I know the same with you, Mike. Think of it like, that's weird. That's a weird story, right? Like Jim Sparks, it's a weird story. Just keep tabs on it, and we'll see, right? But if you kept tabs on Jim Sparks 10 years ago, right, and then you saw all the stuff that happened over the last 2 years, right, you'd be like, So anyway, it's just what we like to do here. Just keep tabs on stuff.
That's exactly right. I'm going to turn this down because it's a little bit loud, but plug your channel, my friend. Do the thing. Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. I'm Ash, the Reptilian from Mars. Check out my YouTube channel. I got a whole bunch of stuff cooking. Pretty much every show that we ever done, I'm like converting it into my own little episode, going little details and stuff. So, tune in, subscribe, please. It's a small little channel. It's growing pretty quick. Appreciate everyone who's called in. Appreciate you, Mike. Thanks for letting me come in here and say some crazy shit. And just love it here. Oh, shout outs to Bunny. I'll be there this Sunday in my full reptilian form. Literally, you'll see my face and you'll hear my reptilian voice. And you can make some reptilian jokes. I saw that a lot in the chat. You guys love those jokes, so let's keep them coming. Again, I'm Ash, the Reptilian from Mars, and I'll be here next Wednesday. And let's do something other than aliens. We'll do something other than aliens, okay?
Yeah, sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. Too many aliens. All right, here's the thing, though. There are no answers. I think in a post-truth world, the questions you ask are more important, and that's why we do this show. That's why we've always done this show. We'll continue to do this show. There are so many important things that get passed up by everything. The media, religion, the government, you name it. It's all part of the same system. And, if you're here listening at the bitter end, you understand it's a broken system, and they are using our information against us, our tax money against us, everything against us, even though when many of us have honest and open needs. It's not hard to figure out. And yet. Anyway, here's the deal. Tomorrow we will be back at 7 p.m. Pacific. We have Penny Bunny is going to be on the show. The Curious Bunny, she's going to be on the show tomorrow. We're going to have Joe from Florida, your favorite mortician. He's going to be on the show tomorrow as well. And we're going to be talking about Glitch in the Matrix, the Mandela effect, and that type of stuff. So come back tomorrow and you'll get more of this. Go check out Penny Bunny, the Curious Bunny. Go follow Ash, the Reptilian from Mars. Tasha. Follow Tasha at, what is it? Come on, what is it? I think Many Subjects Answered. Thanks for moderating the chat, guys. You're the best. And thanks for hanging out with us. We're going to continue talking about these things. You can't shut us up. You can't stop us. You can only hope to contain us. And here we are as we finish. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.